wealthy businessman a few years ago. This was the first time Shang Ruai mentioned her mother in front of him. Shang Nian was stunned at first, then he realized what she was talking about, and his face suddenly became ugly. Shang Ruai sneered. Could it be that the Prime Minister is from a scholarly family? You are still talking about family education here. You even exchanged your official position for the wealth of your concubine's mother's family. Not only that, you didn't treat her well and let her die of illness. Is this what you call family education in your Prime Minister's mansion? She curled her lips. As for this family education, I might as well be the person without family education in your words. Besides, I really have no one to teach me. Shang Ruai cast a glance at him. My mother died early and my father is a rascal. No, even worse than a rascal, with a wolf's heart and a dog's lungs. Worse than a dog and a pig. He is simply among scums. I am not like him, thanks to my mother's teachings. When she said this, she looked into Shang Nian's eyes for every word. He couldn't help but sweat. Why did he feel that every word she said was spoken to him? Why are you looking at me? He took a step back, his heart sinking slightly. Many people did know that she used the wealth of her concubine's mother's family to pave the way for herself, but where did she hear about those inner house matters? Nothing. Shang Ruai retracted her gaze and saw that the man who had used the spiritual spring water and pills had recovered a little. She felt relieved. Hearing him ask this, Shang Ruai smiled and said, Don't worry, Prime Minister. It's mainly because you and my scumbag father are really similar. She stood up and ignored Shang Nian, whose face was as black as the bottom of a pot, and said to He Lingqi, Fourth Prince, I seem to have known the treatment for this plague. As soon as she finished speaking, not only the Fourth Prince, but also the divine Dr. Jiang who had been beside her couldn't help but get nervous. How is this possible? How could a treatment be found in such a short time?
No.
This is absolutely impossible. However, the visible recovery of the two people was seen by everyone with their own eyes, and it couldn't be faked.
Oh?
Can divine Dr. Ling Jun really cure this plague? In fact, the Fourth Prince had long known that she could definitely cure the plague. After all, if she could make pills to prevent the plague, how could she not be able to cure the plague? Moreover, this was the divine doctor recommended by He Jingheng. He was definitely not an ordinary doctor, if he could say the word divine doctor. At least, he must be much better than divine Dr. Jiang. Shang Ruai took out 2 porcelain bottles. The white porcelain bottle contains the liquid medicine made by the common people. Just drink a few drops before taking the medicine. The blue porcelain bottle contains pills. Take 1 pill a day, and you'll be cured after taking 5 pills. When everyone heard this, they couldn't help but gasp. That was the plague. How could it be easier to cure than the cold in her mouth? The Fourth Prince took the 2 porcelain bottles and was a little unbelievable. That's it? Shang Ruai nodded. Fourth Prince, you will know if you try it? Divine Dr. Jiang's face completely sank. May I take a look at the medicine in here? Before the Fourth Prince nodded, Dr. Jiang took the porcelain bottle away. He Lingqi's face was a little unhappy, but due to Dr. Jiang's identity, he was a doctor appointed by his father, so he did not get angry. Shang Nian also wanted to go forward to take a look, but thinking of how he had just lost face, he lost the mood. Divine Dr. Jiang looked at it for a long time but couldn't figure it out, so he said in a deep voice, Can I take these 2 things back to study them? Shang Ruai nodded. As long as divine Dr. Jiang pays money, he can take them away. Silver? Seeing his stunned look, Shang Ruai couldn't help laughing. What? Did I say something wrong? Since divine Dr. Jiang wants my medicine, he must pay silver. Even if the emperor takes the pills from me today, he still has to pay silver. After the voice fell, she turned to the Fourth Prince and Shang Nian and said, I'm not saying this to you. Please don't worry about it, Fourth Prince. He Lingqi raised a helpless smile at the corner of his lips. At this point, he was not a child, so he naturally guessed what Shang Ruai meant. Master Ling Jun, we have so many patients here and need so many medicines. How can I take advantage of you for nothing? He Lingqi smiled and said, How much are the 2 medicines in total? Shang Ruai smiled when she heard him say that. 8 taels for the white porcelain bottle and 10 taels for the blue porcelain bottle. There are exactly 5 pills in it. Then these two kinds of medicine together would cost 18 taels. Liangzhou City would need to prepare at least 10,000 doses, which would be 1,800,000 taels. Hiss. Such a large amount of silver made the fourth prince frown. Seeing that he didn't say anything, Shang Ruai curled her lips slightly. These are all the costs of my medicines. They are already very cheap.
You can go and ask.
Those counterfeit medicines are already sold for 1,000 taels each. How much? 1,000 taels? Who would spend so much silver to buy pills? Isn't this just pure brain disease? At this moment, Shang Nian stepped forward and bowed, then took out a piece of silver from his and handed it to her. I'll buy another one. TSK, Shang Ruoi sneered. If the Prime Minister wants to buy it, I'll have to think about how much silver this medicine costs. Shang Nian was stunned. What do you mean? He frowned, and his tone was quite unfriendly. Mr. Lingjun, do you want to raise the price? Oh, raise the price? Shang Ruai sneered. If the Emperor wants to buy it, I naturally dare not ask for a price. Does the Prime Minister think he is the same as the Emperor? Shang Nian heard her say this. How could he dare to talk back? I am also a human being. Could it be that I turned all that gold and silver into something? Shang Ruai glanced at him and said, Prime Minister Shang, just give me a total of 100 taels for 2 portions of medicinal materials. She turned to Dr. Jiang and said, Dr. Jiang is just average 100 taels. I didn't expect that Master Lingjun's medicine would be so expensive.
No.
Shang Ruai smiled and said, I'm not like that to everyone. Hearing her say that, the two looked even uglier. Dr. Jiang took out a silver note from his and handed it to her, then put the 2 porcelain bottles into his. He wanted to see what the medicine in the porcelain bottles was. Shang Ruai naturally knew what Dr. Jiang wanted to do, but she was not in a hurry at all. Not to mention the composition of the spiritual spring water, which could not be measured even with the most advanced instruments. Even the medicinal materials for making pills, some of them were made from herbs cultivated in space, which could not be seen outside. As expected, no matter what method divine Dr. Jiang used, he just couldn't figure out anything. He couldn't help but wonder, who on earth is this Ling Jun? He couldn't even determine the ingredients of these 2 medicines. Even more annoyed than him was Shang Nian. He didn't even have 100 taels on him when he came out this time. Ever since the treasury of the Shang mansion was stolen, the money in the mansion couldn't be turned around. In addition, Shang Yufu asked them to set up tents and provide porridge for the refugees, and the money in the mansion was almost gone. He only brought 70 taels of silver on this trip. Now Shang Ruai asked for 100 taels. How could he take it out? He couldn't help but be very annoyed that he had lost such a big person in front of the fourth prince. Seeing his embarrassment, Healing Qi took out 100 taels and handed them to Shang Ruai. Shang Nian took the 2 porcelain bottles in his hands, his old face flushed. Thank you, fourth prince. It's a small matter. The fourth prince smiled and said, This shows that Prime Minister Shang is an honest official. Hearing him say this, Shang Nian's expression eased. Shang Ruai curled her lips. Honest official? If he was an honest official, there would be no corrupt officials in this world. Shang Nian was born in a poor family. He was lucky to pass the imperial examination and marry Shang Ruai's mother. His life was getting better little by little. However, he could not change his petty citizen face at all. Even after ascending the throne and becoming a prime minister, he was still eager for gold, silver, and jewelry. She found a lot of good things in the Shang family's warehouse. Although they were not as rich as a country, they were also rich. At this time, it was completely in her space. If Shang Nian knew about it, he would probably faint. The fourth prince looked at Shang Ruai, and a bitter smile appeared on his face. Master Lingjun, can this silver be less? If his father knew that he used 180,000 taels to buy medicine for disaster relief, he would be so angry that he would fall backwards. Shang Ruai shook her head and said firmly, Fourth prince, this silver is already the limit. If I didn't pity the people of Liangzhou City, I would ask you for 100 taels each. I believe that for the safety of the country, the court will have to agree in the end. The fourth prince knew that she was telling the truth, but now the treasury is empty. Where can I raise 180,000 taels? I can't let my father open his private treasury. Based on his understanding of his father, this private treasury will never be opened. This silver will most likely need to be looted from various ministers. Master Lingjun, I have bought this medicine, but the money can only be settled after returning to Beijing. Shang Ruai nodded indifferently after hearing him say this. Since the fourth prince was on the same side as He Jingheng, her money would not be lost. Let me go back and prepare some herbs. Someone will deliver them in 2 days.
Okay.
Dr. Jiang heard her say this and hurried forward. I can help. No need. Shang Ruai glanced at him. This is my master's secret recipe. Dr. Jiang, could it be that you want to steal his skills? Although his thoughts were exposed, Dr. Jiang did not feel embarrassed at all. He smiled and said, since young friend Lingjun does not need it, I will not go to offend others. Shang Ruai came to another isolation area. At this time, several soldiers were moving several large barrels from the car. At this moment, a strange smell entered her nose.
Wait.
Shang Ruai walked to the side of the carriage and asked in a deep voice, what's in it? The soldiers were about to drive her away when they saw the fourth prince walking towards them. They knelt down and saluted. Shang Ruai walked forward and saw that these buckets were filled with porridge. Rather than porridge, it would be more appropriate to describe it as rice soup. There was only a small amount of rice at the bottom of each bucket. At present, food is in short supply, and there is a severe drought. It is very difficult for them to get some rice soup. Shang Ruai frowned. The strange smell came from it. She scooped out a little with a spoon and put it under her nose. Why is there a little smell of corruption in it? She was startled and asked in a low voice, where did you get this water? Seeing her sharp tone, He Lingqi knew there was something wrong with the porridge. I'm asking you a question. Where did you get this water? Your Highness, this water is taken from the river. Take me to have a look. Shang Ruai said in a deep voice. If she guessed correctly, the reason why so many people got the plague was directly related to this water. Soon, they came to a river. It's here. A soldier pointed to the shallow river. This used to be the place where the people of Liangzhou City got water. The years of drought have almost dried up the water here. At this time, a very faint smell of corruption came over. Shang Ruai was shocked. It was indeed the problem with the water. Where is the source of this river? Shang Ruai said in a low voice. Perhaps Liangzhou City is not the area with the most serious epidemic. Upstream of Liangzhou City, there is a Dahuang village. The village is not big, with only more than 100 households. There is a mountain behind Dahuang village, and the water flows down from that mountain. It seems that we have to go to Dahuang village. The fourth prince heard this and figured out the key. Could it be? His heart sank. If it was really as they thought, then Dahuang village would probably be finished. The fourth prince wanted to go with Shang Ruai, but Shang Ruai declined. The pills will be delivered soon, and your highness still needs to be in charge here. Then let Dr. Jiang or Prime Minister Shang go with you. It will be better to take care of them. There must be a doctor here, and Dr. Jiang needs to stay here. Shang Ruai looked at Shang Nian with a playful smile on her lips. When Shang Nian saw her eyes on him, he waved his hands and held his waist and said, I don't know why my waist hurt a lot a few days ago. I'm really old and useless. Shang Ruai knew he was pretending and sarcastically said, Prime Minister Shang is old and weak and can't stand the fatigue of traveling. As for your waist pain, Shang Ruai sneered. It seems to be weak. What? Weak? Everyone looked at Shang Nian with a little subtlety. Shang Ruai left Liangzhou City, and not long after she left, a figure appeared behind her. Shang Ruai reined in her horse and looked at the person getting closer and closer behind her, and was stunned for a moment. Ling Feng, why are you here? I have an old friend in Liangzhou City. I wanted to go see him, but the city gate was heavily guarded. I was about to go back home. I saw you from a distance, so I caught up with you to see you. Ling Feng looked at her and said lightly, Where are you going? Dahuang Village. Dahuang Village? What are you going there for? Shang Ruai expressed her doubts. Ling Feng frowned when he heard it. I'll go with you. Aren't you afraid of the plague? Ling Feng grabbed the reins, patted the horse's head, and said with a smile, following Master Lingjun, "What's there to be afraid of a small plague?" Shang Ruai smiled and said, "In this case, let's go together." The two rode their horses to Dahuang village. In less than half a day, they saw the three words Dahuang village engraved on a huge stone from a distance. There was no one at the entrance of the village. Shang Ruai got off her horse and walked into the village with a heavy look. The whole village was deserted. Her heart sank. At this moment, a breeze blew on her face, and a foul smell rushed into her nose. She quickly ran in the direction of the smell. Ling Feng also smelled it and hurried to follow. Not long after, she came to a stream and saw many rotten corpses piled there, and some were even bones. So, the source of this plague has finally been found. Ling Feng was horrified. It seems that everyone in this village is dead. Shang Ruai looked at the state of these corpses, and her eyebrows jumped. It was obvious that someone had thrown these corpses here. It seems that the villagers of this Dahuang village did not necessarily die of famine, and it was more likely to be man-made. At this moment, a strange sound of footsteps came. Shang Ruai hurriedly took Ling Feng to hide. The next moment, a group of people in black appeared in sight. Where are the people? They were here just now. Where did they go? They must still be in the village, and the horses are still at the door. A man in black said in a deep voice, "We must dig 3 feet into the ground to find those 2 people. We must not affect the master's plan." "Yes, sir." Shang Ruai was shocked when she saw this. It seemed that what she said was right. "What should we do?" Ling Feng said softly. "How do we leave?" As soon as Ling Feng finished speaking, a steel knife was in front of them. "Haha, it turns out that there are 2 big fish here." The silver needle in Shang Ruai's hand suddenly shot out and hit his neck. The man, who was a little proud, just now lay on the ground silently. Ling Feng had seen her methods. "Can you avoid them and leave the village?" Shang Ruai asked in a low voice. "What are you going to do?" "Go to Xia village to get help." "Then what are you going to do?" Ling Feng frowned slightly. "Why don't you go get help? I'll stay here." Shang Ruai rolled her eyes, silently in her heart. Asking him to get help is not just because she feels that he is a bit of a hindrance. With him around, I can't get anything out of the space. Just do what I tell you to do. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Shang Ruai said in a deep voice. Go to the He family to find He Jingheng. He knows what to do. Seeing her insistence, Ling Feng had to do as she said. After he left, Shang Ruai took out a crossbow from the space. As soon as she came to the pool, she heard a man's furious voice. What? Ran away? Trash. Such a group of people can't even catch 2 people.
Ivildi.
If it affects the master's plan, not to mention you, all of us will be doomed. The man said in a deep voice, it is not advisable to stay here for long. Let someone pack up the things and leave quickly. Yes. Master?
Plan?
Shang Ruai frowned. For a moment, her breathing was disordered. The black-clothed man, who had originally raised his foot to leave, looked in Shang Ruai's direction with a sharp gaze. The next moment, the long sword left his hand and shot straight at her. When he came closer, he found that his long sword was stuck in the ground. Boss, what's wrong with you? The man pulled the long sword out of the ground, shook his head, and just as he was about to leave, his footsteps suddenly stopped. He turned his head and looked at a long black hair on the grass, and his heart was shocked. His feeling was not wrong. There was indeed someone here just now. Shang Ruai entered the space and looked outside. She couldn't help but sigh secretly. Although this person must not be a good thing, she had to admit that he was definitely first-rate in terms of martial arts and carefulness. The long sword that had just been shot out was full of murderous aura, and it was obvious that he was not an ordinary person. Find her. The man held the long hair and said angrily, Be sure to find her. Yes. Shang Ruai stayed in the space until night fell. She changed into a nightgown and walked out of the space. When she came to the pool, Shang Ruai keenly discovered that there seemed to be a few more corpses here. A faint smell of blood floated in the air. She came to the corpses, and sure enough, there were 2 corpses, one big and one small, lying there. The younger one looked less than 1 year old. Both of them were covered with black lines, densely packed, and it was chilling to look at. At this moment, she found that the younger corpse was actually breathing weakly. She walked forward and sniffed her breath with her hand. Sure enough, she was still alive. Shang Ruai took her directly into the space. After giving her a sip of spiritual spring water, the black lines on her body lightened a little and her breathing became smoother. Shang Ruai took out a pill and dissolved it with Lingquan water. This is an antidote pill which can remove most toxins. After giving her the antidote, she still showed no signs of waking up. Looking at the black spots on her body gradually fading, Shang Ruai felt relieved. This spot looks like corpse spots, but it is very different from corpse spots. Rather than corpse spots, it is better to say that she has been poisoned by corpses. Corpse poison? Could it be that those people are refining corpse poison? At this moment, a pungent smell appeared, and Shang Ruai frowned. This is the smell of corpse oil. At this time, outside the space, 2 people were patrolling here with lanterns. The pungent smell came from the lantern. Hey, why do I remember that there was a corpse here just now? Where did it go? Yes. I also remember that there were 2. The 2 of them looked at each other. Could it be a resurrection of the corpse? As soon as the voice fell, a chill rushed from the soles of the feet to the forehead, and they wanted to throw the things in their hands away directly. The next moment, 2 silver needles flew out. One bullet hit the man right between his eyebrows, and the other bullet hit the mute point of another man. No matter how he shouted, he couldn't make a sound. Looking at the person who appeared out of thin air, he was extremely sure that this must be a fake corpse. He was about to turn around and leave when he heard a gloomy voice behind him. Kill a person and pay with your life. Debts must be paid back. The man was so scared that he wet his pants. If his mute point was untied, he would definitely beg for mercy. Shang Ruai looked at the lantern he threw on the ground. The smell coming out of it was sure that it was corpse oil. She couldn't help but feel a chill on her back. The person who did these things must be a murderer. Otherwise, how could he do such a cruel thing? The cruelest thing is that he didn't even let go of babies. During the day, she found the skeletons of several babies. No matter who it was, she must pull him out. She exerted force with her hands and directly brought the man into the space. The man looked at the changing scene in front of him and almost fainted. Where is this? It was dark just now. Why is it light now? Looking at the surrounding scenery again, it was actually a strange place. When he looked at Shang Ruai again, he hurriedly knelt on the ground and kowtowed continuously. He could not make any sound, but it was not difficult to guess what he was saying from his mouth shape. It was nothing more than the gods letting him live. Let him go? Shang Ruai sneered. Since she brought him into this space, she didn't want him to leave alive. She walked forward, took out the silver needle from his neck, and said coldly, "Whatever I ask you, you tell the truth, understand?" The man nodded and said in a hoarse voice, "Understood, understood." "Who are you, your subordinates?"
Who are you?
"I am a subordinate of General Morta of Biling." "General Biling? What are you doing here? What are you people from Biling doing here?" The man blinked, as if thinking about how to answer her question. Shang Ruai sneered, "You'd better answer honestly, otherwise, you may not be able to leave here." Shang Ruai's words instantly made him give up the idea of lying to her. "The general is developing corpse poison here. It really is corpse poison. Don't ask questions without answering. Tell me everything you know." Shang Ruai said angrily. "Yes, yes, yes." He swallowed his saliva. "We in Biling have never won the war with Tianshan, only because the cavalry of Dinghua Palace is too powerful, so the general came up with a way to poison, and developed corpse poison in Dahuang village, and then threw the poisoned people into the river, and the toxins will gradually appear in the river. The downstream of the river is Liangzhou City, and half of Tianshuan's grain is produced there. By then, the people who grow grain will be poisoned, and Tianshan will inevitably face a food shortage. If the court does not care, many people will starve to death. If the court uses the silver money in the treasury to relieve the disaster in order to avoid the people's livelihood, it will inevitably buy grain from other countries. We in Bailing are rich in grain, and we will take the opportunity to make a fortune. This cycle will repeat itself, and sooner or later Tianshan will be emptied. He swallowed his saliva and said cautiously, "When the time comes, we will go and kill them." Shang Ruai narrowed her eyes. This general of Bailing really has a set of tricks, which are linked together and cut off the firewood from under the cauldron. So you killed all the people in Dahuang village. The man lowered his head and dared not speak after hearing her say that. It is true that a general's success is built on the bones of thousands of people. Shang Ruai sneered. What a great General Bailing. I have told you everything I know. Can the gods let me go? He pleaded. I have old parents and young children to take care of. My child is less than 1 year old. If I die, what will they do?
What?
Shang Ruai said angrily. You actually have the nerve to say this. She picked up the child she had just rescued and saw that the black spots on her body had disappeared. She is also a baby in swaddling clothes.
How could you do that to her?
The man was stunned and then lowered his head. Shang Ruai looked at him, and a silver light flashed in her hand, and a sharp scalpel was pressed against the man's neck. Where is your general now? The dagger shone with cold light, and a drop of blood flowed down his neck. He stood with his legs crossed, fearing that one of her men would use force and send him to Hades. The general is in the easternmost tent. Shang Ruai heard this, and the corners of her lips curled up. She waved her hand, and the scene changed again. At the moment she left the space, she slashed the dagger in her hand and directly cut his neck. According to his words, Shang Ruai walked all the way to the east. Just as she was about to leave the village, Shang Ruai saw some black tents standing on the ground. Several teams were patrolling with lanterns. Shang Ruai hid in the dark and looked at those tents. In the deepest part, there was a tent that was much larger than the other tents. It must be the residence of General Bailing. At this moment, several painful shouts came from the tent not far ahead. Shang Ruai avoided the patrolling soldiers and came to the front of the tent. She opened a corner of the tent and saw several people tied to scaffolds with several wounds on their bodies. A soldier was pouring a bottle of liquid medicine on his wounds. Painful sounds kept coming out of the mouths of several people. From the smell emanating from it, Shang Ruai knew that the porcelain bottle contained the extracted corpse poison. Her eyes were slightly fierce. She wanted to help but was afraid of alerting the enemy. After thinking, she took out a cylinder containing a drug. After a few breaths, there were several sounds of falling to the ground in the tent. Looking inside, those people were unconscious. Shang Ruai continued to walk towards the tent. After finally arriving outside the tent, before she could lift the curtain, she heard the man inside say in a deep voice, "The people from Dinghua Palace have taken Hyun back. Why hasn't there been any movement so far?" Shang Ruai's hand suddenly stopped. It's them. It seems that they were the ones who kidnapped Prince Hyun of Dinghua. General Bailing. We injured him so badly, it's already difficult for him to be alive. What else can he do? His deputy General Shiga sneered. I didn't expect that there would be such a day in Dinghua Palace. It's really refreshing. Hyun has been tortured by us so much. Why don't you kill him, by the way? Morta's mouth corners were pressed down. His eyes were full of cruelty. Kill him? Oh, isn't that a bargain for him? I just want him to suffer so much that he can't hear, see, or speak, and it will be difficult for him to die even if he wants to. What if Dinghua Palace finds someone to heal him? How is it possible? Morta said in a deep voice, I spent a lot of money to buy those medicines from Nanchi, just waiting for this day. He clenched his fists. I finally avenged the brothers who died under the iron cavalry of Dinghua Palace. General. Shang Ruai heard all this and couldn't help curling her lips. As a general, he avenged his brothers not on the battlefield, but took advantage of others' danger and tortured them when they were injured.
It was simply a mean act.
Shang Ruai's eyes were cold. This Morta was definitely not a good guy. Putting aside the matter of Dinghua Palace, the fact that he slaughtered all the villagers in Dahuang village coated them with corpse poison, and threw them into the river was enough to prove that he was a disaster when he was alive. At this time, the voices of two people were heard again. "How is He Jingheng?" Shiga said with a smile. "Our people sent back a message that he is still in a wheelchair. It is said that the divine Dr. Jiang was invited before, but the divine Dr. Jiang asked him to marry his daughter in exchange for treatment. He Jingheng refused without even thinking about it. He couldn't help but sneer. I really don't know what's so good about He Jingheng. He is already but there are still people who want to marry him." "Oh, stupid." Morta sneered. "It seems that his disability is not thorough enough. He should have had his other leg tendon cut off at the beginning." Shang Ruoi's face completely sank when she heard this. It seems that these people also did something to He Jingheng's leg. As a general of the three armies, Morta was extremely sensitive to murderous intent.
Who?
The next moment, the sleeve arrow in his hand flew out in the direction of Shang Ruoi. Seeing this, Shiga picked up the big knife and walked out. Shang Ruoi entered the space, and no matter how they searched, they found nothing. "General, did you feel it wrong?" Morta's face sank slightly. "Absolutely not. There was definitely murderous intent around his tent just now." At this moment, a soldier exclaimed, "General, for some reason everyone in the prison tent fainted." "What?" Morta's heart sank suddenly, and he walked quickly into the prison tent. He saw that everyone was lying on their backs on the ground, and the people tied to the scaffolds were also unconscious. A doctor came forward and checked for a long time, frowning. "How is it?" "General, there is no sign of poisoning nor any sign of drugging, but for some reason, they just can't wake up," he said slowly. It's like they were possessed by evil. The people of Bailing believe in witchcraft the most among all countries. Now hearing what the doctor said, everyone took a step back. Shang Ruai didn't expect that her unintentional action would make them look like this in Xiaocheng. "Don't talk nonsense. How could he be possessed?" Morta said angrily. "Someone must have sneaked in." At this moment, the team responsible for finding Shang Ruai and Ling Feng returned to the camp. A man stepped forward and said in a deep voice, "General, the two people are not found." Morta walked outside, his eagle eyes swept across the camp. His eyes fell on the slightly raised curtain of the tent. He quickly walked towards the tent, lifted the curtain, and his eyes suddenly fixed. "I saw a man wearing a silver mask sitting in the place where he just sat, drinking tea calmly. The general's tea is not to my taste. I prepared some good tea myself. Would you like to drink some?" "Who are you, sir?" A sleeve arrow fell into his palm. Shang Ruai smiled coldly. "I thought that as a general of a country and a commander of 3 armies, you must be an upright person, but I didn't expect that you are also a despicable person." She glanced at Morta. "General, there is no need to hide the hidden arrow in your hand." When Morta heard her say this, the danger in his eyes became even more intense. "Who are you? What do you want to do? What do you want to do?" Shang Ruai sneered. "I should ask the general this question." She drank the tea in the cup. "In our Tianshan, you slaughter the people at will, use them to poison the river water, causing the outbreak of plague, and tried to control the grain production of Tianshan, and then purchased a large amount of grain crops from your Bailing, and then emptied Tianshan." He raised his eyelids slightly. "You even took into account the Dinghua Palace." Morta frowned. How did she know about his plots? "General, do you think everyone is a fool?" Shang Ruai stood up. "Originally, I had no interest in what you did, but you really touched someone you shouldn't have touched. If I don't deal with you, I won't be able to rest in peace." "Someone who shouldn't have touched?" His pupils shrank suddenly. "Are you from the Dinghua Palace?" Shang Ruai thought for a moment. "You can say that." Morta snorted coldly. "Are you a little too confident in yourself, sir?" He opened his arms and laughed. "This is the general's tent. The whole camp is full of the general's people. Even if you are God, you can't think of walking out of here alive today." "Really?" Shang Ruai pouted. "General, try to cover your mouth when you speak. Otherwise, I'm afraid the strong wind will your tongue away." "You are so bold." Shiga stood behind Morta and said angrily, "You dare to be so rude to our general. Believe it or not, this deputy general will pull out your tongue." As soon as the voice fell, she saw a silver light flashing, and the next moment, a silver needle was inserted into his tongue.
Ouch.
Shiga covered his mouth. He didn't even see how the silver needle flew over. Seeing her reaching out like this, Morta's eyes flickered slightly, and his hawk-like sharp eyes stared at her fiercely. He didn't expect that she really had some ability. No wonder she was so rampant. Aren't you going to pull out my tongue? Shang Ruai sneered. I have always avenged my grudges on the spot. I take revenge when I have grudges, and I redress my grievances when I have grievances. It's not my style to drag things out. So, if you don't like what you say, don't say it in the future. Her needle had completely cut off his chance to speak in the future. Morta picked up the big knife, and the soldiers behind him also took out the weapons on their waists. The sharp tip of the knife was facing her. Shang Ruai calmly filled her teacup and whispered, Use tea instead of wine, villagers of Dahuang village. Today, I come to avenge you. She spilled the tea on the ground. Morta's eyes were cold, and he raised his knife and chopped towards Shang Ruai. Shang Ruai sat on the chair and looked at him calmly. Just when Morta was only one step away from her, his body suddenly froze. A burst of severe pain made it impossible for him to move at all. The next moment, all the soldiers near the tent fell down, twisting their bodies in pain. You. Shang Ruai supported her chin with a slight curl of her lips. A dose of bone-dissolving powder, for you and your soldiers. Dissolve. Bone-dissolving powder? That's right. Shang Ruai said lightly. The medicine is as its name suggests. It will dissolve your bones, melt them, and merge with your flesh and blood. Morta didn't expect that the man in front of him was actually a master of poison-making. He had never heard of bone-dissolving powder. Who are you? His voice trembled constantly due to the pain, and he looked at Shang Ruai with deep fear and dread in his eyes. If it was really as she said, wouldn't he become a useless person? It doesn't matter who I am. What's important is that you are about to die. Shang Ruai walked forward slowly, with anger in her eyes. You hurt Prince Dingwa, right? Yes, we have an irreconcilable hatred with the Dingwa Palace, and I avenge my brothers. What's wrong with that? You are not wrong. Political struggles and military struggles. It's impossible to tell who is right and who is wrong. It's just a different standpoint, but you shouldn't add insult to injury. He Jingheng's leg was also your handiwork. Shang Ruai's voice fell, and Morta's face changed slightly. You heard it outside the tent? So I said, you touched people you shouldn't have touched, had thoughts you shouldn't have, wantonly slaughtered civilians, killed innocent people and even babies. She stood beside him, looking down at him. So, it is not unjust for me to kill you. Let me go, what do you want? I can give it to you as long as you detoxify me. Detoxification, letting you go, either of these two things is a delusion for you. Shang Ruai sneered. I only want your life, the lives of the soldiers around you. At this moment, a chuckle came from outside the door. A black figure was standing not far away. If he didn't speak, no one would have noticed. Why do you have to kill him yourself? He Jingheng walked in with a mask very similar to hers. You dirty your hands in vain. Shang Ruai smiled. Get rid of harm for the people. You, who are you? At this time, the bone-dissolving powder was taking effect in his body. It seemed that there were thousands of insects gnawing at his body. He could feel that his bones were melting little by little, losing consciousness and couldn't even move. Heh, you can't even recognize my voice, Morta. You are really going backwards as you live. You are. He Jingheng? He looked at his legs in disbelief. He had sent people to cut his tendons. How could he still stand up?
Absolutely impossible.
Impossible. You must be someone else pretending to be you. Absolutely impossible. He Jingheng stepped forward and said in a cold voice, You have done so many evil things in Tianshan. It is not a loss to leave your life here. He Jingheng, Emperor Tianshan is afraid of you and your son, and the palace of King Dingwa. Even if you have gained fame and honor, he will still exile you. Even so, you are still working for Emperor Tianshan. What is the difference between you and a dog? Morta said in a deep voice. He Jingheng, cooperate with me. I can help you get revenge. Then Tianshan will be ours. You and I can share the world. How about it?
Ha.
He Jingheng sneered. Share the world? Don't you think it's ridiculous for a general like you to say such a thing? He Jinghun walked up to him and said in a cold voice, "We naturally have our own way to settle the matter between the Dingwa Palace and Emperor Tianshun. This is our Tianshuan's own business. What does it have to do with you?" He lowered his voice and said in a cold voice, "Who told you that I was working for Emperor Tianshun?"
What?
Morta's mind was shocked.
You want?
The next moment, a silver light flashed in He Jinghung's hand, and a soft sword swept across his neck. Blood gushed out, and Morta was no longer alive. At this moment, several black shadows flashed, and wailing sounds outside the tent sounded, and soon it was completely calm. Shang Ruai knew that all the Biling soldiers in the camp were dead. He Jinghung looked at Morta's body, his eyes full of coldness. He Jinghung. He turned around, and Shang Ruai found that there were a few drops of scarlet on his mask, which made him look like a messenger from Hades, which was terrifying. "Are you afraid?" He Jinghun clenched the soft sword in his hand, looking at the eyes under the mask, feeling a little regretful in his heart. He was just overwhelmed by hatred. How could he forget that she was standing behind him? If she saw the bloody scene just now, she would have nightmares at night. He was afraid that the gentle appearance he pretended to be in front of her was completely gone. He was most afraid of seeing fear in her eyes. He was afraid that he had forgotten who poisoned everyone in the camp. This kind of scene was not worth mentioning to Shang Ruai. At this moment, a chuckle came from his ear. "Killing the evil. Why are you afraid? If the evil is not eliminated, the good people will be killed." He Jinghung's heart, which had been falling rapidly, returned to its original position in an instant. Seeing that there was no fear in her eyes, he couldn't help but feel secretly happy. He was about to go forward to hold her hand, but Shang Ruai walked out of the tent. He Jinghung looked at his empty hands and couldn't help but sigh. She came to the prison tent and looked at the person who had been smeared with corpse poison, frowning. She took out 2 porcelain bottles from her sleeve pocket and poured the spiritual spring water on his wound, only to see white foam coming out of the wound. The spiritual spring water in only 1 porcelain bottle was not enough. Just when she was worried, a medicine box was handed over. "Master Ling Jun, a medicine box." Shang Ruai looked at Yunqi and said with a smile, "Thank you." Although her face was covered by a mask, it was not difficult to hear the joy in her voice. He Jinghun glanced at him and felt the coldness emanating from his master. Yunqi hurriedly said, "You are too polite, master. The master is thoughtful. The master said that you might be able to use it." Shang Ruai took the medicine box and focused all her attention on the injured person, as if she didn't hear Yunqi's words. Yunqi felt the coldness of his master getting heavier and heavier, and was too scared to speak. Shang Ruai took out some spiritual spring water and poured it on the man's wound until the white foam stopped appearing on the wound, and the corpse poison was considered to be resolved. However, because the injury was too serious, he did not wake up for a long time. In addition to disposing of the bodies of the Biling people, Yunqi and his companions also cleaned up the bodies in the pool. The water in this pool is full of toxins. The corpse poison and the toxins from the decayed bodies mixed together, causing the entire river water to be polluted. "Biling, these rascals, I should have stabbed them a few more times earlier," Yun Tian said angrily. Everyone looked at the bodies that were salvaged, and they wished they could chop the bodies of the Biling people a few more times. "Send the bodies of the Biling soldiers to the Emperor of Biling. It seems that it will be his birthday in a while, and these are the gifts from the Dingwa Palace to him." "Yes." Yunqi's eyes flashed with excitement. If the Emperor of Biling received this gift, he would probably faint from anger. Thinking of that scene made him feel very relieved. They set their eyes on the pool water. This water is the main source of drinking water and irrigation for Liangzhou City. Now it is already dry and food is scarce. If this pool water can no longer be used, the northern part of Tianshan will be in chaos. At this moment, Shang Ruai stepped forward, and under the horrified gaze of everyone, she was about to put her hand into the pool water. He Jinghung rushed forward and pulled her up. "What are you doing? Are you crazy?" Shang Ruai smiled. "I am immune to all poisons." "What do you mean by immune to all poisons? How is that possible?" He Jingheng frowned. Really? She has spiritual spring water in her body, and all poisons are no threat to her. Why did you put your hand into this pool of water? Shang Ruai blinked. She originally wanted to put her hand into the pool water and use the spiritual spring water to remove the toxins in the pool water, but she forgot that He Jingheng was still with her. If she really did this, he would definitely find out. I said I just wanted to see if this water is drinkable. Do you believe it? Shang Ruai said, and received a cold look from He Jingheng. Can you detoxify this water? Shang Ruai didn't say anything. She looked at his legs and said softly, your legs are recovering really fast. He Jingheng's face didn't change at her deliberate change of subject, he just nodded. By the way, where's Ling Feng? Are you talking about the man you brought back from Shanheng? He Jingheng said in a low voice. What do you mean by a man you brought back? It was as if there was some shameful relationship between her and Ling Feng. He told the gateman that you were in danger here. Shang Ruai's eyes flashed slightly. What about him? He left after leaving a message. He Jingheng frowned when he saw her fall silent. Thinking about another man in front of him. Thinking that he was dead? Shang Ruai didn't notice the dangerous look in He Jingheng's eyes. At this moment, a chill emerged from his body. His face under the mask changed suddenly. How could it be? How could the ice bone poison attack again? Shang Ruai saw his slightly staggering steps and whispered, but is the poison taking effect? He Jingheng nodded. Once the ice bone poison took effect, his 5 senses were completely blocked. He used all his strength to whisper a few words in her ear, and then he fainted. Shang Ruai's eyes were solemn. Yunqi, build the tent. The master.
Quick.
Yunqi knew that He Jingheng was in the state of poison, but the master had just had an attack of poison some time ago. It stands to reason that the next attack of poison should be in a month. How could it be so frequent? Not long after, a simple tent was built. He Jingheng and Shang Ruai were in the tent, and the others were waiting outside. At this time, He Jingheng was surrounded by cold air, and a layer of light ice crystals appeared on his body. Shang Ruai held the silver needle in her hand, but she didn't know where to insert the needle. She didn't expect that the ice bone poison in his body would spread so quickly. She poured the spiritual spring water into his mouth. The ice crystals did not increase, but they did not disappear. Shang Ruai entered the space and the laboratory. Looking at the essence of the Tianhun grass juice that had been extracted, a trace of solemnity flashed in her eyes. The Tianhun grass was dry in nature, and it was originally supplemented with other medicinal materials to neutralize the medicinal properties, but now it was obviously too late. If the poison in He Jingheng's body could not be removed in time, I am afraid it would really endanger his life. Take out the Tianhun grass juice and drip it into his mouth. In a few breaths, all the ice crystals on his body disappeared, and a trace of heat emanated from his body. Shang Ruai was glad that she only dropped a few drops, otherwise the Tianhun grass would burn his internal organs. After a while, the heat on He Jingheng's body became more and more, and his face became redder and redder, as if he was on fire. Shang Ruai frowned and put her hand on his forehead. Suddenly, He Jingheng opened his eyes and looked at Shang Ruai steadily. The next moment, his hand grabbed her wrist fiercely, and with a sudden tug, Shang Ruai fell on him unexpectedly. The cold touch on her body made He Jingheng couldn't help but sigh. He Jingheng, let go, let go. Seeing her struggling, He Jingheng whispered, don't move. His voice was low and hoarse, like a whisper in a state of confusion. Shang Ruai's nerves were tense, fearing that He Jingheng would do something out of line. She even held the silver needle in her hand. If he really did something he shouldn't do, she would definitely give him a few needles. Fortunately, He Jingheng just put his arm around her waist and didn't do anything he shouldn't do. When the heat in his body gradually faded, He Jingheng slowly let go of his hand. Shang Ruai struggled to sit up, and she didn't know whether it was because of the heat or shyness. Her little face was flushed, and she looked beautiful at the moment.
Sorry.
He Jingheng coughed a few times. Thank you for today. It's okay, but if you do this again in the future, I will definitely throw you out. He Jingheng touched the tip of his nose and nodded. You have a good rest for a while, I'll go out first. Seeing that He Jingheng also wanted to get up, she said sternly, You dare to get up and try. She didn't lower her voice when she said this. Yunqi and others heard it clearly and couldn't help but be shocked. Who would have thought that their prince was actually afraid of his wife? It seems that the one who really has the final say in the future is not the prince, but the prince's wife. When Shang Ruai walked out of the tent, Yunqi and others all lowered their heads. Shang Ruai walked slowly to the side of the pool and put her hand into the pool. The spiritual spring water continued to flow into the pool along the palm of her palm. I don't know how long it took, and a sense of fatigue came from the body. Since the space appeared in her body, she rarely felt tired. She retracted her palm and felt that the toxins in the pool water had disappeared under the effect of the spiritual spring water. The spiritual spring water entered the downstream river. It would not be long before the water could be used again. When she returned to the tent, it was almost dawn. He Jingheng was already asleep. Shang Ruai yawned and lay on the bed with her clothes on and fell asleep slowly. Hearing the even breathing sound coming from beside him, He Jingheng opened his eyes and looked at her hands that were a little wrinkled by the pool water. A dark color flashed across his eyes. What secrets are hidden in her? After sleeping for only an hour, it was already dawn. After solving the problem of Dahuang village, Shang Ruai naturally had to return to Liangzhou city. As for He Jingheng, he had to go to the western regions. There are some things in the western regions that require me to go there in person. Don't worry about Xia village. I have already settled everything. But this time I will take most of the secret guards with me. The He family needs you to take care of it. Shang Ruai never asked much about what He Jingheng was going to do, and it was the same now, but for some reason, she was a little flustered this time, so before leaving, she took out some pills from the medicine box. These are for detoxification, this one is for hemostasis, this one is for healing internal injuries, and this one is for removing dead flesh and regenerating new flesh. With a smile on his face, He Jingheng watched Shang Ruai carefully as she placed the porcelain bottles in front of him one by one and carefully introduced the function of each pill. In the past, if someone else had been nagging like this, he would have been impatient a long time ago, but now that Shang Ruai said this, he actually felt very happy. Do you remember everything I said? Shang Ruai asked in a low voice. I remember. Then repeat what I just said. He Jingheng. He was just busy looking at her and naturally did not hear a word she said. He never thought that Shang Ruai would use this trick on him. Seeing his embarrassed look when he couldn't fight back, Yunqi and others couldn't help laughing. They never thought that the prince would have such a day, just like the disciple who couldn't recite the book and was punished by the teacher. He Jingheng glanced at Yunqi and said coldly, I remember you asked me for Yunqi before. Since you want him, he will follow you. What? Yunqi, who was still secretly happy just now, was stunned for a moment. The master meant that he should follow the prince's wife. This is really great. Nowadays, even a prince has to bow his head in front of the prince's wife. It is rarer than a god to be able to serve the prince's wife. Really? Shang Ruai's face was a little excited. He Jingheng nodded. When have I ever lied to you? He turned his gaze to Yunqi. From today on, she is your master. Yes. Yunqi came to Liangzhou city with Shang Ruai. Yunqi was not like Yuntian. He often followed He Jingheng in public. Except for the people in Dinghua Palace, outsiders had almost never seen his true face. Therefore, no one recognized him when he followed Shang Ruai. However, when he came to Liangzhou city this time, she still changed his appearance. After all, it is better to be safe than sorry. Besides, everyone knew that she was young Master Ling Jun and not Shang Ruai. If Yunqi used his real appearance at this time and followed her in the future, people would soon know that she was young Master Ling Jun. When Shang Ruai returned to Liangzhou city, Dr. Jiang was treating patients. Seeing her come in, his face couldn't help but look a little unnatural. Shang Ruai smiled. Dr. Jiang must have no idea about his two medicines, otherwise he would have shown off in front of her. Shang Ruai came to the water source. The spiritual spring water had already flowed here, removing all the toxins in the pool water. Shang Ruai finally let go of her worries. She turned to the fourth prince and said, the poison in the water has been removed. The water here can continue to be used for drinking and irrigation. The fourth prince was overjoyed when he heard this. As for how she did it, the fourth prince did not ask, but Xiang Nian was very curious. You are indeed a genius, doctor. I admire you. Xiang Ruai rolled her eyes at him. It is really rare to get the praise from the prime minister. Her unfriendly tone made Xiang Nian frown again. As the prime minister, he was repeatedly bullied by a brat. For him, who has been in a high position for many years, how could he swallow this breath? Yunqi saw all this and couldn't help laughing secretly. Xiang Nian would never have thought that the person who was so rude to him and he dared not offend him was actually the concubine who he looked down upon. At this time, the fourth prince brought a box. Master Lingjun, this is part of the money, a total of 30,000 taels. I will send someone to make up the rest when I return to Beijing. Xiang Ruai nodded. I still believe in the character of the fourth prince. With Xiang Ruai's pills, their bodies recovered quickly, and the epidemic was controlled and no longer spread. But the problem of food shortage was not solved. This winter, if there is not enough food, it is unknown how many people will freeze to death or starve to death. When the spring of next year comes, there will still be a large-scale epidemic. However, the epidemic can be controlled, which makes Emperor Tianshun very happy. Not only did he make up the silver behind, but he also opened a private treasury to reward many treasures. After returning to the capital, the fourth prince bathed and changed his clothes and came to the palace. At the celebration banquet, Emperor Tianxuan's face was full of smiles. The more he looked at He Lingqi, the more he liked him. He Lingxing saw all this and his heart sank slightly. No one thought that such a serious epidemic could be cured. Fourth prince, you have done a great deed this time. Is there anything you want?
Tell me about it.
Emperor Tianshun had a smile on his face. He Lingqi hadn't seen his father smile at him like this for a long time. He actually felt as if he was in another world. After a moment, he stood up and clasped his hands, saying, It is my honor to share your worries. I dare not take credit for it. Okay. Haha. After Emperor Tianshun laughed, he looked at He Lingqi and suddenly made a decision in his heart. Announce my decree. The fourth prince He Lingqi is both talented and handsome, studious, and has extraordinary intelligence. He is suitable for important tasks and is named Prince Bao. What? He Lingxing's hand paused. Prince Bao. The ministers were shocked when they heard this. This is the first prince canonized by the emperor after he ascended the throne. One by one, they hurriedly stood up to congratulate him. He Lingxing stood up with a smile and congratulated. Congratulations, fourth brother. You have been awarded the title of Prince Bao just for solving the plague. He Lingxing's words implied that the fourth prince had picked up a great bargain. He Lingqi was not a fool, so he naturally understood what he meant. He stood up, bowed, and said, Your Majesty, I dare not accept your grace. I ask your Majesty to withdraw your order. Emperor Tianshun thought he was making an excuse and refused several times. He couldn't help but frown slightly. What is the reason? There is a severe drought in Tianshun. Many places have no harvest and victims are everywhere. I am heartbroken. How can I be rewarded at this time? He Lingqi's words startled Emperor Tianshun. He didn't expect that his son, who had been ignored by him, was so outstanding and cared about the world. He thought for a moment, the imperial edict has been issued and cannot be taken back. However, since you have such a broad mind, I will give you another task, disaster relief. He smiled. There is a severe drought in the north. If you can solve this problem and bring you back to Beijing, I will personally crown you. Thank you, father. During the time that Xiang Ruai came to Liangzhou City, the town's shopkeeper Li was as anxious as an ant on a hot pot. Seeing that the grain in the grain shop was running out, Xiang Ruai had not been contacted for a long time, and no one sent any more grain. Shopkeeper Zhao listened to the report from his servants, stroked his mustache, and sneered. I knew he wouldn't last long. We are now the largest grain store in Qingshi town. You are really smart, shopkeeper. The servant gave him a thumbs up and complimented him. You are really good at predicting things. After those shopkeepers were arrested, you collected all their grain. Now you can sell it for a good price. Haha. Just as he was feeling complacent, the heavy rutting sound echoed on the road. Shopkeeper Zhao couldn't help but be shocked. He walked quickly to the window and saw dozens of carriages full of grain heading towards Li's grain store. How is it possible? Didn't they say that there wasn't enough food? Where did they get it from? Shopkeeper Zhao looked at the carriages with a grudge in his eyes. Shopkeeper, with so much food delivered, what should we do with it? The servant standing behind him said tremblingly. What should we do? How should I know? Shopkeeper Zhao said angrily. Investigate. Find out where the food comes from at all costs. Yes. Shopkeeper Li looked at the full bag of food, his face beaming with joy. Madam Shang, you are amazing. You can get so much food. I really admire you. Shang Ruai smiled. How could she do this? If there was no space, where could she get so much food? Shopkeeper Li, right now there is a food shortage in the north, and it is winter, so it is inevitable that many people will have some bad intentions, so you have to be more careful. Of course. Shopkeeper Li said in a low voice. If it weren't for your reminder a few days ago, my granary would have been burned clean. When Shang Ruai returned to the He family, she heard that Qin was ill. Shang Ruai came to Qin's room, and Hiyuni was sitting beside her bed feeding Qin medicine. Mother. Shang Ruai walked in and saw Qin's pale face, so she walked forward to feel her pulse. Nothing. Qin smiled. The doctor said it was just an ordinary cold, nothing serious. She coughed a few times, and her originally pale face looked even more bloodless. After Shang Ruai felt the pulse, she found that it was indeed, as she said, just a cold. But why was it so serious? Shang Ruai added some spiritual spring water to the water they drank daily. Although it was diluted a lot, it could still play a role in strengthening the body. Normally, she would not get sick. When did mother catch a cold? Shang Ruai whispered. Today is the third day. Hiyuni sighed. The temperature suddenly dropped a few nights ago. Maybe the cold has passed. Shang Ruai took out a pill and handed it to her. Mother, take the pill and have a good sleep. Maybe you will feel better tomorrow. Qin took the pill and didn't feel anything at first. As a result, in less than a cup of tea, Qin, who was about to rest, suddenly vomited blood. Suddenly, everyone was in a mess. The news that Qin vomited blood quickly spread throughout the He family. Even the old princess who had already rested was alarmed. What's going on? The old princess asked anxiously. After Shang Ruai felt the pulse, she frowned and said in a deep voice, Poisoning. Mother is poisoned. What? Poisoning? How is this possible? What did she eat before she went to bed? Hiyuni thought for a moment. Before going to bed, my mother only ate a bowl of tremella soup and the pills given by my sister-in-law. She didn't use the rest. Everyone's eyes fell on Shang Ruai, and she whispered, From the pulse, it is undoubtedly poisoned, and the poison is very overbearing. It has attacked the heart meridian in just a moment. Sister-in-law's pills are definitely not poisonous, so the only possibility is tremella soup. Hiyuni said in a deep voice. The tremella soup was also used yesterday. Hiyuni brought the bowl that was placed beside her bed and had not been taken away yet and handed it to Shang Ruai. Sister-in-law, this is it. Shang Ruai took out a silver needle and tested it a few times. The silver needle did not turn black, indicating that it was non-toxic. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but frown slightly. This is not poisonous either, so how did Qin sure be poisoned? At this moment, a burst of fragrance came into the tip of the nose. Shang Ruai's pupils shrank suddenly. It's that. Shang Ruai looked at the person standing at the end, with a look of disbelief on her face. How could it be her? The old princess felt uneasy when she saw that she didn't speak. Child, do you know what poison your mother has been poisoned with? Shang Ruai shook her head and said softly, I don't know yet. I can only control the poison of mother through acupuncture, so that it will not spread. However, it will take some time to develop an antidote. She took out the silver needle and pierced the acupuncture point on her body. As soon as the needle was inserted, Qin spit out blood again. Mother, sister-in-law. Seeing this, Everyone gathered around. Shang Ruai put away the silver needle and glanced at the purse on the waist of the person without showing any expression. She just tried it with the silver needle, but she really couldn't hold her breath. The silver needle in Shang Ruai's hand shot out suddenly. Just when everyone didn't react, a cry of pain came from the door. Everyone couldn't help but look at the door. There was a silver needle stuck on the back of Xiangyu's hand. She looked at Shang Ruai in shock and knelt on the ground with a plop. "Madam, spare my life." Shang Ruai sneered. "Spare my life? When did I say I wanted your life? But this silver needle." She quickly closed her mouth before she finished speaking. "What's wrong with this silver needle?" Shang Ruai glanced at her lightly. "Tell me, how can this silver needle of mine take your life?" Xiangyu's face changed slightly, and she lowered her head, not daring to look at her. Shang Ruai stood up, walked to Xiangyu, and reached out to take the silver needle off the back of her hand. With a sneer, she said, "How do you know that my silver needle is coated with poison?" Your servant. You understand pharmacology." Shang Ruai held the silver needle with her fingers and shook it in front of her eyes. "Or rather, you understand poison." "Young madam, I don't understand what you are saying." "Don't understand?" Shang Ruai reached out and took down the purse hanging around her waist. "What's in your purse?" Xiangyu's pupils shrank suddenly, and she whispered, "I like to play with some flowers and plants on weekdays, and there are dried lilac flowers in it. Previously, I saw that the lilac flowers in the backyard were blooming very well, so I picked some and dried them to make sachets." "Lilac," Shang Ruai sneered. "These words are okay to deceive others, but they are not good enough in front of me." She poured out the contents of her purse, which were indeed very similar to lilac flowers and even smelled exactly the same, but Shang Ruai saw through it at a glance. This is not lilac at all, but a fallen leaf flower. Xiangyu looked at her in shock. How did she recognize it? Fallen leaf flowers, as the name suggests, when this flower appears, the leaves growing on the stem will fall off instantly. It smells non-toxic alone, but its smell will become highly toxic when combined with Notopterygium wolfortii. Shang Rui's face was cold. "Before, it was you who told Aunt Zhao the location of the sachet hanging on the head of Song's bed. Being able to avoid the secret guards and put things on the bedside, this kind of thing must have been done by one of their own people. There are not just 1 or 2 secret guards here, and they protect them 12 hours a day. If an outsider enters, the secret guards will definitely find it, unless the martial arts are extremely high, like He Jingheng. But if that kind of person really wants to do something to the Dingwa Palace, it would not be as simple as just leaving a letter. When she and He Jingheng were not there, they would have wiped out the He family. So she concluded that there must be a traitor in the He family. Madam, I really don't know what you're talking about. This is clearly lilac. How could it be a deciduous flower? Xiangyu knelt down and cried, I am innocent. Please look carefully. Song Fangji stepped forward and said to Shang Ruai, Sister-in-law, is there any misunderstanding here? How could Xiangyu poison me? Yes, there must be a misunderstanding. Xiangyu has been serving in Fangji's room. How could he have the time to poison me? Lin said softly. Xiangyu knelt on the ground and cried, Madam, I am really wronged. Shang Ruai raised the corner of her lips slightly and nodded. Maybe I am too worried. Her words made Xiangyu's hanging heart slightly relieved. At this moment, a silver needle flew towards her with a sound of breaking through the air. Subconsciously, she turned her body and dodged it. Her action could not be done by people who had not practiced martial arts for many years. Your abilities are so powerful that they can't be seen at all if you don't show them. Xiangyu's face suddenly changed after Shang Ruai's words. Song Fangji and Lin didn't expect that they had just excused her, but they were taught a lesson in the blink of an eye. You. Xiangyu knew that he was exposed, and he didn't plan to pretend anymore. I didn't expect that you would find out. Xiangyu raised his head and looked at Shang Ruai with a cold look. You are really hard to deal with. It's my negligence that you can lurk here for so long. Shang Ruai's eyes were cold. Who are you? What is your purpose here? Xiangyu didn't speak. His eyes fell on Song Fangji not far away, and the next moment, her figure suddenly ran towards Song Fangji, And just when his hand was about to pinch Song Fangji's neck, his body suddenly lost strength and fell to the ground. She looked at the purple on the back of her hand, full of unwillingness. She never thought that Shang Ruai would doubt her and be injured by the silver needle she shot. The silver needle was coated with poison, which should be a kind of muscle softener. She couldn't lift it at all. Xiangyu half knelt on the ground, his body shaky and unable to support himself. "Now tell me," Shang Ruai said coldly. "Tell me who you are and who is the person behind you." It's impossible for me to betray my master. Even if I die, I will never betray." She looked at Shang Ruai coldly, and then turned her eyes to the people in Dinghua Palace. Suddenly, a trace of black blood flowed out of her mouth. "I curse you. Curse all of you." After she finished speaking, her body fell down, her eyes wide open, and she died with her eyes open. There was a deadly poison hidden in her teeth. People like this are all dead warriors. Shang Ruai looked at Xiangyu's body, thinking. Song Fangji sat on the chair and gasped for breath. The scene just now really scared her. She really couldn't believe that Xiangyu, who had been serving her all the time, was actually a spy. And just now, she was almost in her hands. She must be coming for their Song family. It must be. Thinking of this, she felt a pain in her stomach. At this moment, she felt a pain in the skin of her hand. She came to her senses and found that Shang Ruai was holding a silver needle and stabbing her. "Relax," Shang Ruai said in a deep voice. "Don't think too much. Worrying too much is not good for you and the fetus in your belly." Song Fangji recovered, and her pupils gradually focused. "Sister-in-law, don't think about anything. I'm here for everything. Just take care of your body and give birth to the baby." Shang Ruai put away the silver needle, and Song Fangji felt the pain in her stomach slowly disappear. She looked at Shang Ruai for a long while, and her eyes gradually became firm. Shang Ruai walked to Qin's bedside, fed her the spiritual spring water, and used silver needles to several major acupuncture points around her body to protect her heart meridian. She then took out some silver needles as fine as cow hair and pricked them into her arms. Everyone looked at the densely packed silver needles and couldn't help but feel a chill down their spines. Yuni shed tears silently. "If I knew the person behind Xiangyu, I would never let him go even if he was at the ends of the earth." At this time, Ling Feng was drinking tea in the courtyard. An old man came over and whispered, "Xiangyu was exposed and committed suicide." Ling Feng nodded and smiled. "Did Shang Ruai find out?" "Yes, it was her." "Haha, it's just as I expected. She is really smart." Ling Feng put down the teacup and curled his lips slightly. "What an interesting woman. Young master, Shang Ruai has ruined our business again and again, and you still want to keep her?" The old man said in a deep voice, "I know that you are concerned about her kindness in saving Miss Kerr, but even without her, Miss would not be in trouble, right? If Shang Ruai were here, she would definitely recognize the identity of this person. It was the shopkeeper of Shan Hung Tianyan Casino, Qian Jinyan. I kept her, and it has nothing to do with Kerr." Then why did the young master? Before he could finish, he was interrupted by Ling Feng. "You don't have to worry about this matter anymore. Tell my brother to cause more trouble for He Jinghing's people in the western regions."
Yes.
Qian Jinyan didn't dare to say anything more after hearing him say this. The young master had the same temperament as the former master. Once he made a decision, he would not change it easily. However, although he had only had a few brief contacts with Shang Ruai, he could feel that this woman was very cunning and very smart. The young master was reluctant to take action against her. Could it be that he had some thoughts that he shouldn't have? Thinking of this, Qian Jinyan frowned even more deeply. Thinking of Shang Ruai's identity and their hatred with the Dinghua Palace, he barely suppressed the anger in his heart. If the young master was bewitched by Shang Ruai, he would definitely kill her even if he risked the crime of disobeying his master. Shang Ruai was still detoxifying Qin at this time. She cut a hole on Qin's fingertips, and thick black blood slowly flowed out. Shang Ruai did not remove the silver needles one by one until the black blood turned bright red. After bandaging her finger, Qin's complexion had returned to normal. Everyone's hanging hearts slowly settled down. Not long after, Qin woke up slowly. What happened? Mother, you are poisoned. If it weren't for my sister-in-law, something serious would have happened. Yuni said in a crying voice. Qin patted Shang Rui's hand. Child, you have worked hard. Mother, you are polite. Do you still feel uncomfortable? Shang Rui put her hand on her pulse. Qin's pulse was stable, and she was fine. Qin shook her head. It's okay, I feel much better, but I just feel a little weak. Shang Rui put the pill into her mouth. This pill is very effective for recovery after illness. Take it and have a good rest. You will feel much better tomorrow. When she came out of Qin's place, it was already bright. At this time, the sky was dark and cloudy. A gust of wind blew. Shang Rui tightened her cloak. Looking at the weather, it seemed that a heavy snow was coming. She didn't know at this time that they were facing more than just a snow. Not long after, it really snowed heavily, and the snowflakes were getting bigger and bigger. Shang Rui took out the pot that she had asked Old Wu to help make earlier and went to the kitchen to get busy. Several cooks were helping her. Madam, what are you going to do with so many green vegetables? Hot pot. Hot pot. What is it for? Shang Rui smiled and said, You will know when the time comes. There is no beef or mutton here, but fortunately, a lot of pork was frozen while it was cold, and a few chickens were killed in the kitchen. There are many white fish in the pond in the space, but I never had the chance to take them out to eat before. Today, while He Jingheng is not at home, others will not ask too much, so I took one out. The side dishes are all ready, and the next step is to stir-fry the ingredients. She has always liked spicy food. In Shang Rui's opinion, hot pot has no soul without spicy food. But the old princess and Qin couldn't eat much. It happened that Old Wu made a double-flavored hot pot, so Shang Rui fried some base ingredients in the kitchen. However, the conditions were limited now, and the taste was much worse than in the previous life. However, it was extremely rare to be able to eat such delicious food here. When all the dishes were served on the table, everyone was dumbfounded. The old princess looked puzzled. Is the cook in the kitchen today crazy? These are all raw. Why are they served here? Even the meat is raw, how can we eat it? Lin was also very confused. At this time, Shang Rui came over. Grandmother, third aunt, I told the kitchen to do this.
What?
The old princess asked. Rui, you do this. But what's the explanation? Yuni looked at the pot. Sister-in-law, what is this? This is called hot pot. Shang Rui put the cut fish on the table. This hot pot is different from other dishes. She picked up a piece of fish and put it into the boiling pot. After a while, she took it out. The fish was cooked at this time, and there was still a trace of hot steam on it. She put the cooked fish into the old princess's plate. There is a dipping sauce next to it, which can be used for seasoning, and then you can eat it. The old princess took a bite of the fish doubtfully, and when the fish entered her mouth, she couldn't help but widen her eyes. This novel way of eating was the first time she had seen it in her life. It's so delicious. The old princess praised. Rui, your idea is really great. Shang Rui finally let go of her worries when she heard what the old princess said. Grandma, can we start eating now? Yuni couldn't wait any longer. Okay. Eat. The old princess smiled and said, Look at me, an old fool, only caring about eating myself. If it gets out, I will be laughed at. Yuni looked at the red soup in the spicy pot and swallowed. Sister-in-law, is this delicious? Shang Rui picked up the fish fillet and put it in her bowl. Try it. Yuni took a small bite and her eyes lit up instantly. This thing should only exist in heaven. How can we hear about it in the world? Yuni exclaimed, Such a good thing. Why do you only bring it out today? Shang Rui looked at the snow outside the window and said softly, Hot pot and snow scenery are the best match. It's snowing today, so I thought of making this hot pot. Sister-in-law, why don't we go to the county and open another hot pot restaurant? We will definitely make a lot of money. Shang Rui also had this idea, and at this time she heard the old princess laughing and scolding. You little girl, You only know how to drag your sister-in-law to do this, and that all day long. When she is a child in the future, you can't be so naughty anymore. Hyuni pouted. Grandmother is partial. Speaking of children, Shang Ruai did not speak. Although He Jingheng expressed his feelings to her, she had lived for 2 lifetimes and did not even know how to fall in love. She admitted that after spending some time together, she had a good impression of He Jingheng, and marriage was a foregone conclusion, but she had not considered having children at all. Seeing that Shang Ruai's mind was not on this, the old princess did not say anything. Knowing that she was a person with her own ideas, she did not say much. The meal was a happy one, but Shang Ruai was the only one who was worried. For some reason, she always felt irritated in her heart these 2 days, as if something was going to happen. At night, the snow was getting heavier, from heavy snow to blizzard. The road was difficult to travel, so Shang Ruai asked the workers to stay directly in the mansion. Just as she was about to go to bed, she heard a hurried knock on the door. Crown Princess, Crown Princess. What's the matter? Her eyelids jumped, and she quickly put on her cloak and opened the door. Yunqi said in a deep voice, "Oh no, the snow bandits are coming down the mountain." The snow bandits? Shang Ruai frowned. Yes, there are several groups of snow bandits in this far north. They come down from the mountains to rob in winter. They used to come around the spring festival, but this year it's especially early. Maybe it's because of the severe drought and food shortage this year, so they came down early. Yunqi said in a deep voice, "These robbers are coming with great force, and the prince has taken away a group of secret guards.
We are short of manpower now."
Most of these snow bandits are highly skilled in martial arts. In the early years, the prince led his troops to suppress the bandits several times but failed. Shang Ruai raised her eyebrows. Even He Jingheng failed to suppress the bandits. It seems that these snow bandits are really capable. For a moment, the cells of the Soldier King kept beating. "Princess, the situation is critical now. I will send someone to you and the princess to leave first." After Yunqi finished speaking, Shang Ruai shook her head. "No need. You send someone to guard the yard, and I will help your prince to finish."
You.
After Shang Ruai changed into a tight outfit and tied her hair up, she was not wearing a mask today, and she looked like a handsome young man. At this time, the lights in the He family were on, and everyone gathered in the old princess's room. Qin's body had not fully recovered yet, and she was leaning weakly on the couch. "Are these snow bandits so scary?" He Jingshi thought for a while and said in a low voice, "Regarding the snow bandits, I have heard about them from my brother. Unlike robbers, snow bandits only seek money and rarely kill people." Shang Ruai said in a deep voice, "But this time the snow bandits are coming with great force. We can't take it lightly." "Is Jingheng not back yet?" the old princess said worriedly. "Not back yet." The old princess sighed and said no more. He Jingheng was the most skilled martial artist in the He family. Without him guarding at this time, everyone would feel uneasy. Shang Ruai smiled and said, "Don't worry, Grandma. Nothing will happen." After comforting them, Shang Ruai came to the storehouse and took out several thousand machine crossbows. This is 1,000 machine crossbows. Find a few brothers with good accuracy. Take these 1,000 machine crossbows, guard around the house, and as long as you see the snow bandits, fire the crossbows to warn them. If they don't obey, don't show mercy. Kill them on the spot." Shang Ruai's tone was sharp, no less than He Jingheng's.
Yes.
1,000 machine crossbows. In the early years, the western regions had offered 2 of them as tribute, and they were kept in the treasury by Emperor Tianshun. They had never even seen them, but only heard from others that they were said to be more than 10 times more powerful than bows and arrows. Shang Ruai explained it once, and they learned it. "Crown Princess, where did you get this 1,000 machine crossbow?" Yunqi blinked. Could it be that the Crown Princess robbed the private treasury of Emperor Tianshun? But there were only 2,000 machine crossbows in the whole Tianshun, and they were still being worshipped. Now there were about 6 or 7 in front of them, and she threw them there like scrap copper and iron. "I made it myself," Shang Ruai said vaguely. Looking at Yunqi's shocked expression, she touched her nose with a guilty conscience. She couldn't say that this was produced by the space itself. Yunqi looked at the 1,000-machine crossbow on the ground in disbelief. Made it by hand? Can this thing be made by hand? The crown princess must have lied to him because he didn't study much. At this time, the snow bandits were about to arrive at Xia village. Zhao Junyi, who also got the news, remembered that he was like an ant on a hot pot. The snow bandits visited every year, and the losses were heavy every year. There were not many casualties, but all the money and food were looted. This year's drought basically resulted in a crop failure, and now the snow bandits have come down the mountain to rob food. He wanted to just drop the pole and run away. But the poison in his body has not been cured yet, and his life is in the hands of others. Where can he run? Sir, it's bad. The snow bandits are 10 miles away from us. Zhao Junyi heard this, and the cold sweat on his head became more and more. He repeatedly looked at the place where he hid the money and food to make sure that he would not be discovered, and then his heart was slightly relieved. Sir, don't we have to resist? A Yamen runner asked. Resist? Zhao Junyi slapped his hat hard. Do you have a brain? What the Hades do you resist? How to resist? Use your life to resist? The Yamen runner, who was beaten, had a hard time. The He family has been jumping around under my nose for a long time. Now that the snow bandits are here, it's just right to temper the He family's temper. Zhao Junyi sneered. I want to see how they can be so arrogant in the future. The Yamen runners didn't say anything after hearing this, but just retreated silently. Several Yamen runners were waiting for his news outside. How is it? What does the master say this time? Should we fight the snow bandits with real swords and guns? I've been so frustrated these years. The Yamen runner who had just asked Zhao Junyi shook his head. The master said to give up resistance, just like in previous years. Let them rob everything and leave. Everyone frowned when they heard this. Although they came to this extreme north to work as officials, they were also considered to be demoted, but they still had some integrity in their bones. It was extremely uncomfortable to let them surrender to a group of snow bandits without a fight. At this time, Shang Ruoyi had already explained the defense deployment. At this time, she seemed to have returned to her previous life, when she was the captain of the Special Forces team. Yunqi admired her for her calmness in the face of danger and her ability to command the country. In the past, he always felt that it was beneath their prince to marry a concubine, but after being exiled until today, he couldn't help but worry about the prince. Their prince had never considered the love between men and women. Would he be disliked by the prince's wife? Shang Ruoyi stood on a high place. Not long after, she saw a group of men in white robes coming down the mountain. They all held shining swords in their hands. The leader of the snow bandits was named Lu Qin, and this time he personally led a group of brothers down the mountain. Arriving at Xia village, they first went to the city defense. Like in previous years, the city defense was empty. A pile of grain and some silver bills were placed on an 8 immortal table. Seeing this, the second-in-command Zhao Imu walked forward, shook the things on the table, and curled his lips and said, This Zhao Junyi, this year's grain is more than half less than last year's. The third-in-command Wei Xian sneered, This Zhao Junyi is very stingy. If we don't give him a little color, I'm afraid he won't even remember his own last name. The eldest-in-command Lu Qin had no expression on his face, and said lightly, You guys see if there is anything else. If not, we will go directly into the village. Brother, are we going to other retail households this year? Lu Qin sneered, Haha, retail households? The Dinghua Palace is standing there. Do I still need to go to those retail households to collect some odds and ends? Ha ha ha, brother is wise. Lu Qin had a determined smile on his face. A lean camel is bigger than a horse. Even if the Dinghua Palace has fallen, it is not something that ordinary people can compare to. Zhao Imu also said in a cold voice, This time, we must avenge those brothers who died tragically at the hands of the Dinghua Palace. Have you already talked to the man who works at the He family? Don't worry, everything has been arranged. They left the city defense and ran directly to the He family. Shang Ruoyi saw their figures from a distance and couldn't help frowning. It seems that they are heading straight for the He family. Shang Ruai's lips curled up slowly. She really had never seen someone send herself to the door to be beaten. Thousand machine crossbow ready. She waved her hand lightly, and when those people entered the range, her hand fell suddenly.
Swoosh.
Several sounds of breaking through the air rang out, and the arrow shot straight to a place not far from the snow bandits with a fascinating momentum. Hiss! What was that thing that just shot into the ground? Lu Qin raised his hand, and the people behind him hurriedly stopped. Brother, was that an arrow? Lu Qin said in a deep voice. Go and have a look. A snow bandit stepped forward and was about to check, only to see an arrow flying at him and burying itself under the snow bandit's feet again. This time, everyone saw clearly that it was indeed an arrow, and the snow bandit, who was about to step forward, was so scared that he sat down on the ground. If he had been a few breaths faster, the powerful arrow would not have shot at his feet, but at his body. Lu Qin looked towards the direction of the He family with a cold gaze. He saw a man in a green robe holding a crossbow he had never seen before, standing proudly. Brother, this idea is a bit tricky. Zhao Yimu whispered. Didn't they say He Jingheng was lame? That's not He Jingheng. Lu Qin said coldly. It must be the soldiers under He Jingheng. The Dingwa Palace has a deep foundation, and there are many talented people even in exile. What should we do? Zhao Yimu's voice was a little frightened. Run. Brother, otherwise let's retreat. What retreat? Lu Qin kicked him. You spineless thing. If you retreat now, you will lead your brothers to starve in the winter? If you want a drink, go and drink it yourself. I won't drink it. But this person's archery skills are so high. I'm afraid he'll die before we get there. Lu Qin looked forward and snorted. What does it matter? As long as she can't see us, it's fine. They were seen draping their snow-colored robes on their bodies, and their entire bodies blended into the snow. From a distance, it was impossible to tell which was the snow and which was the human. Shang Ruai narrowed her eyes slightly. No wonder they were called snow bandits. Prince Consort, what should we do now? They didn't even know where the snow bandits were now. Shang Ruai smiled. Don't worry, just wait and see. After a while, a wailing sound appeared. Yunqi looked into the distance and saw that the bright red blood had dyed the snow into patches of red.
Ah!
It hurts. What the Hades? My foot. Something pierced it. My leg, my leg. The screams continued. Originally, it was impossible to tell whether it was a human or snow, but now they were all covered in blood, which was too conspicuous in the pure white snow. Lu Qin's eyes were cold, and he walked forward and pulled open the horse nails hidden in the snow. Horse nails. Where did they get this? She actually predicted it in advance. Wei Xian whispered, This man is as insidious and cunning as He Jingheng. The second in command thought for a while and said, Not so insidious and cunning. After all, we robbed first. As soon as he finished speaking, he found that Lu Qin and Wei Xian were looking at him with a strange look. What's wrong? Lu Qin gritted his teeth and couldn't help but kicked him. Which side are you on? Do you know what you do? Bandit. You are a bandit. I know. Zhao Yimu stood up, rubbed his buttocks that were kicked, and muttered, Brother, you really kicked me. Lu Qin glanced at him, and then set his eyes on the He mansion in the distance. He had a bad feeling. More than 40 of the more than 200 brothers who came down the mountain this time were injured. When they reached the He mansion, it was unknown how many would be left. But if they don't get enough food this time, they will starve to death in less than a month, not even before the new year. Keep going. Before you act, check if there are any horse nails on the ground. Reduce your speed by half and arrive before dawn. Lu Qin said loudly, For food. To avenge our brothers who were killed by the Dingwa Palace before, we must rush over today. Whoever can capture He Jingheng will be rewarded. I will directly promote him to the 4th in command. The temptation of becoming the 4th in command made these snow bandits excited. Even the snow bandits who were just injured by the horse nails seemed to feel no pain from the wound, and they were eager to try. Shang Ruai sprinkled a lot of horse nails along the way, which was a headache for them to deal with. Shang Ruai looked up and looked at the still gloomy weather, and couldn't help frowning. At this time, the wind and snow were still very strong, and the visibility was getting lower and lower. This was very inconvenient for people who were not used to living in the wind and snow. And those snow bandits had long been accustomed to it. This kind of blizzard weather was just right for them to rob houses. Soon, the horse spikes that Shangruoi had put on the ground were cleaned up. Seeing that the group of people were getting closer and closer to the He family, Yunqi's face changed slightly. "Princess, please go back quickly. Leave this to us." Shangruoi looked at the more than 200 people who were gradually approaching the He family, and a hint of interest flashed in her eyes. She looked at the wind direction, and as she predicted, the northwest wind turned into the southeast wind. The reason why she put horse spikes on the road was to weaken their fighting power and to delay their progress and wait for the wind direction to change. "Brother, the He family is ahead." Lu Qin sneered and shook off the snow on his body. "Surrounded the entire He family, we are here, and they haven't made any moves. What does it mean?" "It means they are waiting for something to happen," Zhao Imu said seriously. "What are you waiting for?" Lu Qin said angrily. "With your pig brain, if it weren't for the fact that you were the first to join the bandits with me, would you have been the second in command?" He glanced at him and said coldly, "It means that they don't have the manpower to compete with us now." Wei Xia nodded. "Brother, what you said makes sense. No matter what method you use, the first person to enter the He family will be rewarded." The snow bandits were full of fighting spirit. Just as they were about to take out the hooks on their bodies, they heard a chuckle from above their heads. The sound of wind and snow had always been in their ears, and this laughter was extremely abrupt. Lu Qin and others hurriedly looked up. They saw a young man in green clothes, looking at them with a smile on his lips. "You." Before Lu Qin could finish his words, he saw that she was holding a slingshot with a black object on it. Before he could see what it was, he saw that thing exploded in the air and a puff of white smoke appeared. "Oh no, it's poisonous." But Lu Qin's words were a little late. The white powder was blown towards them by the wind. Everyone inhaled the white powder to varying degrees. "What is this?" After the voice fell, Shangruoi smiled and said, "Didn't the boss feel it?" At this moment, a feeling of weakness emerged from the body. The snow bandits who were hit fell one after another. "Softening muscle powder? The boss has a good eye." She smiled. "You actually found it. But my soft muscle powder is different from other soft muscle powders. If it is not the antidote I personally prepared, any other antidote is useless." Lu Qin, who was searching for the antidote all over his body, paused. Then he continued to search. At this time, they could not move in the snow, and the cold gradually penetrated into their bodies. They had been crawling in the snow for many years and had long been accustomed to snowy days, but lying in such a heavy snowstorm was unbearable for anyone. Lu Qin's teeth were chattering with cold. He took a lot of effort to take out a porcelain bottle and put it under his nose to smell for a long time, but it had no effect at all. His heart sank. Shangruoi smiled. "Boss, didn't I tell you? It's useless." This obviously mocking laugh made Lu Qin's face as black as the bottom of a pot. But he didn't have the slightest power to resist at this time. He drew out his big knife and barely supported his body to avoid falling down. But the others were not as good as him. One by one, they lay in the snow and couldn't move. Some were even in a semi-comatose state. Fainting in the snow in such weather, there is no other way to go except freezing to death. "What do you want?" He gritted his teeth and said in a deep voice. At this time, the snow in the sky became smaller and smaller. Shangruoi walked to the door, and Yunqi hurried forward. "Crown Princess." "Open the door." "Crown Princess, those snow bandits are cunning. You must not fall into their trap." Shangruoi smiled. "I know what I'm doing. Open the door." It was extremely difficult for Lu Qin to stand up after being hit by her soft muscle powder. He was a superb martial artist, otherwise he would have fallen to the ground like the others. Yunqi knew that he could not persuade her, so he had to open the door. Lu Qin saw Shangruoi walking out alone, and his pupils shrank slightly. They were more than 200 people, but she had calculated this by herself. "Young master is..." The boss still has the mood to ask these useless questions. It seems that you don't feel cold yet. Shang Ruoi held a hot water bottle in her hand, walked to a place about 1 meter away from him and stopped, stretched out her hand and handed the hot water bottle to him. Do you want it? Lu Qin was stunned for a moment. What kind of routine was this? Seeing him stunned, Shang Ruoi held the hot water bottle in her arms again. It seems that the boss is in good health and doesn't feel cold at all. There was a little envy in Shang Ruoi's tone. People like me can only hold a hot water bottle and drink some hot tea. The ground dragon burns very vigorously to drive away the cold. Her voice was not low, and the snow bandits who were still awake couldn't help swallowing their saliva when they heard it. What kind of fairy life is this? Lu Qin stared at her with his big eyes. His eyebrows were all covered with ice. Which eye of hers could tell that he was not cold? Is it a matter of being cold now?
Now, he's going to freeze to death.
His eyes fell on the brothers lying on the ground beside him. More than half of them have fallen into a coma. What does the young master want? Shang Ruoi curled the corners of her lips slightly. Of course I want you.
What?
Lu Qin looked at her handsome face, and his eyes widened. Want them? This young master looks like a decent person. How could he do such a thing? You are dreaming. Wei Xian held his breath and said angrily, even if I die, I will never do such a thing. Shang Ruoi saw that they all looked angry and then thought about what she had just said and couldn't help but hold her forehead. It seems that they have misunderstood. What are you thinking about? Shang Ruoi glanced at him. You think it's a nice thought, but don't you look at yourself? She set her eyes on Lu Qin. I want to recruit you. As soon as she finished speaking, she saw that their reaction was even greater than before. Don't even think about it. Even if I die, I will never be He Jingheng's running dog. Even if you kill me, I will not surrender. Lu Qin said angrily. In the beginning, we were forced to become bandits by the court. How could we still be running dogs of the court? At this time, the wind and snow had completely stopped. Seeing them say this, Shang Ruoi was too lazy to talk nonsense. In that case, I won't be polite. She smiled and looked not far away. Everyone looked in the direction she was looking. They couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. The chill that surged from the soles of their feet was even more captivating than the wind and snow. White tiger. Where did such a big white tiger come from? They have never seen such a big white tiger in all these years here. Xiaobai, these are your meals. Shang Ruoi pointed at the snow bandit lying on the ground and said with a smile. Xiaobai shook his huge tiger head and looked at them with disdain. It smelled foul and stinky. It walked to Shang Ruoi and rubbed against her affectionately. Everyone saw this and was horrified. This is a tiger. A tiger? It's not made of paper. Could it be that they are dazzled? It must be an illusion caused by the cold. They rubbed their eyes and looked over again. Xiaobai's tiger eyes were looking at them. Oh my God! Help! Help! They would rather be frozen to death than be bitten to death by the tiger before they freeze to death. Lu Qin looked at the white tiger, and his heart sank. This white tiger is different from other white tigers. It is much larger than other white tigers. And it is very human at first glance. It is so intimate with her. It must have been tamed by her. This person can tame the white tiger. He is definitely not an ordinary person. Not only the snow bandits were shocked, but Yunqi and the secret guards who were staring at this place almost had their eyes popped out and their jaws dropped to the ground. A cool breeze blew over, and they felt their teeth were frozen, so they closed their mouths. Yunwei, are we dazzled? A secret guard stammered. Isn't the one next to the crown princess a real white tiger? Yunqi swallowed and glanced at him. Are you blind? Of course it's real. Otherwise, why don't you go out and take a look? The secret guard hurriedly shook his head. He was curious, but not stupid. Shang Ruai patted Xiaobai's head. Go and see if your meal is satisfactory. Xiaobai shook his tiger head and looked at them with cold eyes. When the snow bandits saw it looking over, they didn't know whether they were scared or frozen, and their bodies kept shaking. Before Xiaobai took 2 steps, several snow bandits fainted from fear. They couldn't move at this time and could only be slaughtered. Zhao Yimu said to Lu Qin tremblingly. Big brother, what should we do? I don't want to be the tiger's food. Nonsense, I don't want to be either,
he whispered.
seeing that Xiao Bai was getting closer and closer to them. Every step it took was like a stab in their hearts. Shang Ruai saw that they were struggling at this time, and smiled and said, "It's okay, Xiao Bai has always been very measured in his bites. Although he won't bite to death in one bite, he will definitely kill within 10 bites. I won't let you suffer for too long." What thing? 10 bites? Even if he doesn't bite to death, it will hurt to death. Isn't this painful enough? Shang Ruai's next sentence almost made them commit suicide on the spot. "I think Xiao Bai eats a little too much by himself. Why don't we call the snow wolves here?" As soon as she finished speaking, she saw Xiao Bai nodded. It didn't want to eat these stinky things, so it was better to leave them to the snow wolves. They are not picky and eat everything. This sentence was the last straw that overwhelmed them. Before the other snow bandits could say anything, Zhao Yimu burst into tears. "I didn't expect that I would die like this. Brother, I don't want to die." Wei Xian looked at Lu Qin and said tremblingly, "I'm not afraid of death, but I don't want to die like this." Lu Qin's chest heaved violently. He looked at Shang Ruai and whispered, "If they surrender, can you ensure that He Jingheng will not kill them?" Shang Ruai looked at the bloodshot in his eyes and frowned slightly. "You swear to never surrender? The court killed my whole family. Even a 3-year-old child was not spared. I have irreconcilable ties with the Tianshan court. How can I surrender? The court killed your whole family, not He Jingheng. He is the prince of Dinghua Palace. He is a member of the court." "Oh, now Dinghua Palace no longer exists. There is only the He family." Shang Ruai walked in front of him and whispered, "Who told you that the He family is still a member of the court? Who told you to surrender to He Jingheng? What do you mean?" Shang Ruai stood up, her lips curled slightly. "All along, the person you wanted to surrender was me, just me alone." When she saw these snow bandits, she had already decided that she would turn these people into her own power. Lu Qin's eyes lit up. When he looked at Shang Ruai again, he suddenly found that the young master who was as gentle as jade just now was like a sharp blade about to be unsheathed, with a hidden edge in his eyebrows. "Are you serious?" Shang Ruai smiled. "Boss, if you hesitate any longer, I'm afraid none of your brothers will survive." She was right. Those snow bandits lying on the ground were really about to freeze to death. Seeing this, Lu Qin made up his mind. "Okay, I'll believe you this time." Shang Ruai crushed a few pills in her hand, and in an instant, a faint fragrance filled the air. All the snow bandits who were poisoned by the soft muscle powder gradually recovered their strength after smelling this fragrance. Lu Qin stood up, clasped his hands, and said, "Our brothers have surrendered to the young master, but we don't know his name yet." "Shang Ruai." "Shang Ruai? Isn't this a woman's name?" He looked at Shang Ruai's eyebrows carefully, and his heart jumped suddenly. "This is not a young man. This is clearly a girl." He tightened the scabbard in his hand. Although they are bandits, they are also men of integrity. How can they bow down to a woman? "Her surname is Shang," Lu Qin said in a deep voice. "What is the relationship between the girl and Shang Nian?" "She is my father."
"What?"
Her voice was not low. Everyone heard it clearly. Shang Nian, Shang Xiangya, is her father. Although they had just detoxified, most of them had not recovered their strength, and some were shivering from the cold. But they all drew out the swords in their hands. "What do you mean, big boss?" Shang Ruai suppressed the smile on her face. "Are you going to go back on your word? Most of our brothers here have been persecuted by Shang Nian, your father. Since you are Shang Nian's daughter, we would rather die than serve you. He is only my father, but the hatred between him and me is not necessarily less than yours." Shang Ruai smiled coldly. "You hope he dies, and I don't hope he has a good life either." After hearing what she said, everyone slowly put down the knives they had raised with great difficulty. However, when they heard that she was a woman, they couldn't help but frown. How could a woman become their leader? Shang Ruai saw that they were not convinced, and the corners of her lips curled slightly. "Not convinced? Then beat you until you submit." Shang Ruai touched Xiao Bai's tiger head and looked at Lu Qin leisurely. I heard that the boss has great kung fu. I just feel like trying my hand recently. Why don't you try it with me? Lu Qin saw her action, and his pupils shrank slightly. Before he could answer, Shang Ruai continued, If you win, you can take your brothers away. If you lose, you must honestly recognize me as your master and don't have any second thoughts. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. A few silver needles appeared on her fingertips. She swung them hard and saw that the silver needles were completely immersed in the big tree in the distance. It can be seen how powerful it is. Lu Qin's heart trembled when he saw it. At this moment, Wei Xian stepped forward and waved the spear in his hand a few times. Why do we need my elder brother? I am enough by myself. The third leader of Yunxua village, Wei Xian, comes to challenge me. Shang Ruai smiled and stretched out her right hand. Yunqi handed her a long sword. She smiled. Wei Xian, it seems that you have been in the army for a long time. He still retains the habit of challenging others. Stop talking nonsense. It's a real skill to be able to take my spear. As soon as he finished speaking, he picked up the spear and rushed towards Shang Ruai. Shang Ruai's eyes did not change. She held the hot water bottle in one hand and the long sword in the other. Seeing that the spear was approaching her with a fierce momentum, Yunqi was a little anxious. Princess, get out of the way. If she didn't get out of the way, it would be too late. That girl must be scared. Who wouldn't be scared of our third boss's unique spear skills? If that's the case, that's great. Third boss, show him how powerful you are. Lu Qin's face was heavy. He knew the third boss's ability, but the woman's ability must be better than the third boss's. How could she be scared? She didn't look scared, but rather she didn't take him seriously at all. When the spear was only one step away from her, Shang Ruai swung the sword in her hand. She seemed to have used no strength at all. After a few rounds, she knocked Wei Xian's spear away. The spear slipped out of her hand, and Shang Ruai turned around and kicked him in the chest. Wei Xian's blood surged, and he barely suppressed the sweet taste in his mouth and was defeated. He panted for a long time and asked in a hoarse voice, How is it possible? You obviously have no internal strength. So, what if you have no internal strength? Shang Ruai smiled. There is a martial art called Tai Chi, which uses the force of others to counter the force and uses softness to overcome hardness. If it is used properly, even ordinary people without internal strength can defeat those with strong internal strength.
Tai Chi?
What kind of martial art is this? Shang Ruai turned the spear in her hand a few times. The spear is too light. With your spear skills, if you can have a good spear, you will definitely get twice the result with half the effort. After saying that, she threw the spear back to him. Wei Xian reached out to take it, and as soon as he got the spear, he was knocked to the ground by the force of the spear. Sorry, I didn't control the force just now. Wei Xian's body was tucked in the snow, and he finally stood up. Didn't control the force? If I believe you, there will be something wrong. He stood up and returned to Lu Qin with the spear in his trembling hands. Shang Ruai saw that he looked unconvinced and touched the tip of her nose with her hand. She really didn't mean it. Seeing this, Lu Qin's face became even more solemn. Using the opponent's force to counter the opponent's force, this woman is really not an ordinary person. It seems that even if he personally goes forward, he may not be her opponent. Everyone saw Shang Ruai's skills. Yunqi, who was standing aside, couldn't help but show a look of surprise. He knew that the crown prince's wife must have some skills, but he never expected that she was so powerful. Although she had no internal strength, she defeated Wei Xian, who had profound internal strength, in just a few moves. Among these people, only Wei Xian knew how difficult it was to fight with her. Every bit of strength he swung out fell on him twice, and in the end, he didn't even have the strength to hold the spear. Boss, you want to try it too? Lu Qin's face changed several times when he heard this. He saw clearly just now that although she had no internal strength, the strength of her hands was not small at all. Wei Xian's kick on the chest was estimated to have almost broken her ribs. In the battle, Wei Xian was in a state of disgrace, while she did not even have a breath. The difference between the two was immediately apparent. He saluted and whispered, "I admire your skills, young lady, so I won't show off." "So, the boss has recognized me as his master?" Lu Qi nodded. "I am Lu Qin, and I greet my master." Seeing that their big brother had done this, the snow bandits in Yunxua village dared not disobey him. They hurriedly bowed and saluted. "Meet my master." Shang Ruoi smiled. "Okay, since you recognize me as your master, I will not treat you badly." She threw a key to Lu Qin. "Go to Qingshi town to find the shopkeeper of Li's grain store. He will take you to get what you need." Lu Qin was shocked when he heard this. They had heard about the Li's grain store in Qingshi town. They were all looking for the person who supplied food to the grain store. So many forces were mobilized, but they couldn't find it. It's not that no one has thought of tying up the shopkeeper Li for questioning, but they thought that if they offended that person, it would be a small matter to cut off their food supply. If they were angry and wiped them out, it would be more trouble than gain. Could it be that the mysterious person behind the shopkeeper Li was her? His guess was soon confirmed. When he disguised himself and came to the shopkeeper Li with a key, the shopkeeper Li treated him like a guest of honor and hurriedly took him to a warehouse in the backyard, which was full of food and some frozen meat. After they took the things back to the village at night, they looked at the piles of food with joy on their faces. Although the food in the village is not bad, it is all from looting. Although they have been bandits for many years, they have not abandoned the things in their bones. They usually rob Zhao Junyi and the prisoners who came from exile. At most, it is just some food. How can it be as abundant as today? "Brother, have we managed to hold on to the thigh?" Zhao Yimu swallowed his saliva. "Make more rice today. I want to eat 3 bowls of it." Lu Qin glanced at him, a useless thing. But these foods are really pleasing. Food is so scarce now. Where did the master get this food? Yunqi didn't expect that she didn't use a single soldier to subdue all the people in Yunxua village. "Princess consort, you are truly amazing." The master led his troops back then but failed to capture the Yunxua village. "You are flattered." Shang Ruai smiled. "Perhaps your master did not even want to capture it." Shang Ruai narrowed her eyes slightly. From the fight just now, although Wei Xian's martial art skills were high, compared with He Jingheng, there was probably a huge gap. Even Lu Qin could not be He Jingheng's opponent. It was impossible that he could not capture the village after leading his troops several times. Why did he do this? Yunqi did not understand what Shang Ruai meant, but the crisis of the snow bandits was over. Zhao Junyi came back immediately after receiving the news that the snow bandits had retreated. "How is it? Are there any casualties in the He family? I haven't heard about it. The snow and wind were so strong that day that we couldn't even go out. Or the noise was a bit loud when those people left. Otherwise, we wouldn't know when they left." "It shouldn't be." Zhao Junyi frowned. Those snow bandits came down the mountain to find food. He had already spread the news that the He family had food, and they would definitely go to rob the He family. His wishful thinking was very good. If the snow bandits in Yunxua village went to rob the He family would definitely fight with them. No matter who wins or loses or both sides suffer, it is 100 benefits for him. But in this situation, is it possible that there was no fight at all? How could he guess that Shang Ruai not only repelled the snow bandits, but also took them in for her own use? There are many hills around the exile area. In addition to Yunxua village, there are Heifeng village and Qinglong village. Unlike Yunxua village, the snow bandits in those 2 mountain villages can be said to have burned, killed, looted, and done all kinds of evil. They heard that the people of Yunxua village had been eating and drinking well all day long after returning from the exile, which made them envious. "Brother, why is it that only Yunxua village can eat and drink well? Let's go down the mountain and kill them by surprise before they recover."
How about that?
The head of Heifeng village narrowed his eyes and said, "Okay, we'll do as you say." That night, a group of people in white robes came down from the mountain. When Zhao Junyi got the news, the people of Heifeng village had already arrived at the city gate. The exile place was at the border, and the city gate had been in disrepair for a long time. The people of Heifeng village knocked it down after a few hits. Hundreds of snow bandits rushed in, slashing at anyone they saw with their steel knives. Zhao Junyi was so scared that he quickly asked his men to go to the town to ask for help, but the messenger was killed before he could even walk out of the city gate. The snow bandits of Haifeng village were bloodthirsty and killed all the way to the village. Shang Ruoi heard the commotion outside and hurried out. What's going on? The snow bandits from Blackwind village have come down the mountain. Yunqi said anxiously, Princess, the snow bandits from Blackwind village are brutal by nature and are not good people at all. They kill anyone they see. I'll let my brothers Yu and other masters away first.
No.
Shang Ruai smelled the blood in the air, her face full of solemnity. It's safest to stay in the mansion now. Shang Ruai patted Xiaobai's head. You go to guard the yard, and anyone who climbs over the wall will be bitten to death, leaving no one alive. She turned to Yunqi and said, Don't be stingy with arrows, and use the 1,000-machine crossbow directly if anyone is within range. Yes. At this time, a secret guard came over, Princess Yunwei. It's bad. The snow bandits have entered the village.
So fast.
Yunqi's face froze. He didn't expect the people in the city defense department to be so useless that they couldn't hold on for a while. These beasts kill anyone they see. Several families have already been killed. The Dark Guard said in a deep voice, We don't have enough manpower. We can only spare a few people to rescue people. Although there are only more than 100 snow bandits coming down the mountain this time, they are all extremely vicious and desperate. It is very difficult to deal with them.
Prince's concubine Yu.
Before he could finish his words, he saw Shang Ruai fall straight back. Prince's concubine. Prince's concubine. Yunqi panicked. At this time, Yingxue stepped forward quickly, carried her back to the house, and put her on the bed.
Could it be poisoned?
At this time, Shang Ruai was in the space, looking at the upgraded arsenal with a shocked face. Originally, there were only ancient cold weapons, but now there is a modern arsenal next to it. There are not only guns and ammunition, but also grenades and bombs. There were all kinds of things hanging on the walls. There was also a door in this room. She wanted to push the door open, but it wouldn't open no matter what. Could it be that there was some mechanism or key to open it? Or would it be visible only during the next upgrade? She stopped worrying about this door and turned to look at the grenade next to her. This was enough. Just when Yunqi and the others were about to die of anxiety, Shang Ruai woke up. Crown Princess. She quickly stood up and walked to the warehouse without saying a word. When she came out, she was holding two round things in her hands. Crown Princess, this is a bomb.
Bomb?
Yunqi was stunned for a moment. It's your firearms. Shang Ruai spread out her hands, with two little round fat guys lying in her palms. But it's more powerful than your firearms. Crown Princess. Yunqi couldn't help but shouting after hearing this. You can't hold a firearm like this. Put it down quickly. What if it explodes?
No.
Shang Ruai pointed to the pull ring on it. When using it, pull the pull ring on it, and you must let go of it within 5 breaths, and throw it to whoever you want to up.
She walked to the attic.
At this time, everyone in the He family came to the old princess's residence again. When everyone saw the white tiger in the yard, they were so scared that they almost fainted.
Come.
Come quickly. There's a tiger here.
Tiger.
Yuni said in surprise. The next moment, a secret guard appeared beside her. Princess, this is the pet of the crown prince's wife.
Pet?
She looked at Xiaobai lying in the yard in disbelief, and her admiration for Shang Ruai increased. She is worthy of being her sister-in-law. The pets she raises are so unique. How can the noble ladies in the capital compare with her sister-in-law? She is so delicate and soft all day long, as if she could fall down with a gust of wind. No wonder her brothers looked down on her. Just as she was about to go to the white tiger, she was stopped by the secret guards. Princess, it's dangerous outside now. Please quickly hide in the room. Yuni came to the old princess room, and Song Fangji asked with a pale face, Yuni, where did the white tiger in this yard come from? How could such a ferocious beast appear here? Don't worry, this white tiger is my sister-in-law's pet, and it's here to guard the yard. She smiled and said, Third sister-in-law, you don't have to worry. I think the white tiger is very spiritual and won't hurt people easily. As soon as she finished speaking, the people in the room looked better and less nervous. The old princess whispered, "Didn't they say that the snow bandits have been solved? Why are they coming back again?" Ah Chung stepped forward, replying to the old lady, "This time the snow bandits are a different group. Unlike last night, this wave of snow bandits are all desperate criminals who do all kinds of evil, so the young lady attaches so much importance to them." After hearing Ah Cheng's explanation, the atmosphere in the room became solemn again. Song Fengji's face turned even worse, and she cried quietly. He Jingxi had heard about the brutality of the snow bandits. He put his sword on the table and said in a deep voice, "Don't worry, Grandma. I will protect you all even if I sacrifice my life." The old princess sighed. "With your skills, it's good enough that you can protect yourself. If you really have the strength to fight the snow bandits, I would have asked Jingheng to take you to the battlefield to win merit." The old princess hit the nail on the head. He Jingxi smacked his lips and said nothing. Ah Chung stepped forward and bowed, saying, "Don't worry, old lady. The young lady has made arrangements. The He Mansion is like an iron barrel at this time, and the snow bandits will never be able to break in." At this time, Yunqi was leading several secret guards, each holding 2 grenades in their hands. "Yunwei, the bombs given to us brothers by the crown princess can't kill us before we throw them." "Shut up, what nonsense are you talking about?" Yunqi said in a deep voice. "You keep saying unlucky things. You're the only one with a big mouth, right?" The man quickly shut his mouth. Yunqi wanted to slap him a few times. At this moment, several embarrassed figures appeared not far away. The leader was Zhao Junyi. "Sir, if we just run away, what about the brothers who are still fighting the snow bandits?"
What?
Zhao Junyi snorted coldly and said, "How can I know what to do? You have the time to worry about others. Why not worry about yourself first? But there are still villagers there. TSK. I just said that if you can't bear it, go back and die." Zhao Junyi said angrily, "Don't blame me for not reminding you that the snow bandits in the Black Wind village are all murderers. For people like you, I'm afraid no one will want you to give your heads away." As soon as he finished speaking, he heard screams coming from the village, not far away. Yunqi hurriedly said, "You guys, hurry up and try to lead those snow bandits to one place, and then use the bombs given by the prince's wife to them to their grandmother's house." "Yes." The 3 secret guards hurriedly flew away. At this moment, a feather arrow broke through the air. Zhao Junyi sensed the danger behind him and rolled in the snow, barely avoiding the arrows. "Haha, I didn't expect you to end up like this." A rough laugh came. "Zhao Junyi, Lord Zhao, how are you?" Hue Xian, the 3rd in command of the Black Wind village, smiled and walked forward. He was holding a bow in his hand and had 2 big swords on his waist, shining brightly. When Zhao Junyi saw him coming, he trembled like a sieve. It was a cold winter day, but his body was soaked with sweat. Everyone knew that the 3rd in command of the Black Wind village had some perverted hobbies, and all the officials who fell into his hands were turned into human pigs. "Master Hua, Master Hua." Zhao Junyi stuttered, "Hello, how are you?" "Haha, I haven't seen you for a few years." Master Zhao is still as handsome as ever. He laughed sarcastically. It's just that he seems a little embarrassed today. The yamen runners around him tightly grasped their knives. The sweat on their foreheads froze before it dripped onto the ground. Hue Xian looked at their nervous expressions, and the smile on the corners of his lips became even more intense. He slowly said, "Have you ever seen a cat catching a mouse?" "What?" "Cats rarely bite mice to death in one bite. They play with mice to death bit by bit." His voice was like a demon from Hades, which made people shudder. At this moment, "I am like the cat, and you are the mice." Hearing this, everyone swallowed hard. It seemed that none of them could leave here in one piece today. Although Zhao Junyi was not a good guy, he was still a good man compared to Hue Xian. Besides him, there were several yamen runners with conscience around him. No matter what, Yunqi could not watch them being slaughtered by the snow bandits in front of him. He raised his hand and prepared to let the secret guards rescue them. At this moment, at the entrance of the front village, a fire suddenly shot up to the sky, and the huge noise made the whole village tremble. "What's going on?" Hua Xian turned his head and looked at the place where the fire appeared and said in a deep voice, "Go back and have a look." Taking advantage of their distraction, Zhao Junyi and several Yamen runners under his command ran away. Third boss, the dog official surnamed Zhao, ran away.
Run?
Haha, where can they run to? Hua Xian sneered. With their legs and feet, I will catch up with them in a while, and I will go back to see my brother and the others first. Zhao Junyi ran all the way towards the He mansion. He knew that at this time, apart from He Jingheng, no one else could compete with the snow bandits. When Yunqi arrived at the entrance of the village, he happened to meet the dark guards who had returned. They detonated the grenades, which naturally killed some snow bandits, but because it was the first time to use them, the accuracy was not good enough, so not many people were killed. "Yunwei, we have run out of bombs," the dark guard said anxiously, "but more than half of the snow bandits are coming in our direction. Where are the villagers in the village?" Some of the villagers were moved by other brothers before, and those who didn't have time to move were killed. The youngest is still in swaddling clothes. "These beasts," Yunqi said angrily. "We must catch them. Even skinning them alive is not too much." When Yunqi and others returned to the He family, they suddenly found that Shang Ruai had disappeared. No one knew where Shang Ruai had gone. At this time, she was wearing a white cloak with a string of grenades on her waist, holding a rifle in her hand, squatting on a hilltop. She stroked the rifle, and a familiar feeling surged into her heart. It's been a long time. At this moment, several figures appeared in her sight. When she looked through the scope and saw the man's face clearly, a smile unconsciously rose at the corner of her lips. Zhao Junyi. They were running hard in the snow, and at this moment, dozens of people chased after them. The leaders were the three heads of the Black Wind village. They were the eldest head Zhao Longhai, the second head Lin Fei, and the third head Hua Xian. They had long been accustomed to walking on the snow, so their pace was much faster than Zhao Junyi and others. Not long after, Zhao Junyi was caught up. At this time, he looked at the snow bandits in the Black Wind village with despair.
Run.
"Keep running." Hua Xian sneered. "I think your legs are pretty good. How about giving them to me?" Zhao Junyi knew what Hua Xian was thinking when he heard it, and hurriedly said, "Heroes, heroes. Don't you just want food and money?" His words attracted the attention of everyone in the Black Wind village. "What do you mean by this?" The big boss Zhao Longhai shouted at the top of his voice. "Explain it to me quickly, otherwise it will not be as simple as breaking your legs." Yes, I understand. Zhao Junyi smiled flatteringly. "Big boss, do you know that everyone in Dinghua Palace has been exiled here?" "Of course I know." Zhao Longhai frowned. "Why? Do you want to use Dinghua Palace to pressure me?" No, how dare I do these things?" Zhao Junyi nodded and said, "What I want to say is that He Jingheng is lame, and he doesn't have much martial arts left. Now their Dinghua Palace is supported by a little girl named Shang Ruai."
"Oh?"
Zhao Longhai whispered. "Is He Jingheng really useless?" "Of course, he has to use a wheelchair to go in and out." Zhao Junyi smiled and said, "As the saying goes, a lean camel is bigger than a horse. Even if the Dinghua Palace is exiled, it is still fat and juicy. If you want food and gold, silver, and jewelry, just go to the He family. Everyone knows that the He family is the richest in our entire exile area." Hearing him say this, the people of the Black Wind village were all ready to fight, waiting for the order from the boss, and they would charge into the He family. Food, gold, silver, and jewelry, as long as they robbed the He family, it is estimated that their entire Black Wind village would be enough to eat for decades. Ha, good. Lord Zhao is really a good person. Lin Fei laughed and said, "Brother, in this way, we will charge at the door and empty everything in the He family." "Good. When the time comes, the women we robbed will be a feast for the brothers." Ha. "Thank you, boss." Just as they were celebrating their victory that had not yet been achieved, they heard and a bullet with unprecedented power appeared out of thin air, hitting a snow bandit in the head. At once, brain matter spurted out, and the snow bandit, who was hit, fell straight down. The sudden change caught everyone off guard. "What's that sound? What just happened?" How could he suddenly die? Just when they were shocked and confused, there was another loud noise, and then another snow bandit fell to the ground. And the way he died was exactly the same as the last one, and even the location of his injury was no different. What's going on? At this moment, the third snow bandit fell again. They turned all their doubts into fear. How is it possible? So many brothers have fallen, and now they don't even know who their opponents are. Who? Who is playing tricks? Hua Xian said angrily. If you have the ability, don't hide your head and tail. Let's fight with real swords and guns. In addition to the whistling wind, he was responded to by the snow bandits who continued to fall to the ground. Shang Ruoyi found them very interesting when she saw that they were like headless flies. At this time, the people of Heifeng village were in the central area surrounded by Zhongshan Mountain. There was nothing to block them. They were just sitting ducks. They quickly ran behind a big rock and hid themselves temporarily. At this moment, Zhao Junyi noticed a flash of light on the hilltop not far away, but it was a little far away. He really couldn't believe that there would be any hidden weapon that could be shot from there with such powerful power and accuracy. Brother, we shouldn't stay here for long. Let's leave quickly, Hua Xian said in a low voice.
Okay.
Zhao Longhai looked cold and said in a deep voice, Master Zhao, you are familiar with this place. Please lead us to the He family. Zhao Junyi didn't dare to say no when he heard this. He nodded and agreed. At this moment, a Yamen runner grasped the knife in his hand. Just as he was about to make a move, he was discovered by Hua Xian. He drew out the knife in his hand and chopped directly at the Yamen runner. The next moment, the Yamen runner's knife was split in half. Hua Xian placed the knife across his neck and said gloomily, You are so brave that you dare to do something here. You are really tired of living. In this case, I will send you to heaven first, and then I will go to massacre the He family. After saying that, he raised the knife and slashed at the Yamen runner. If he was hit by his knife, the Yamen runner would be split in half in an instant. At this moment, another sound came. The knife in Hua Xian's hand fell to the ground. Blood flowed down his wrist.
Ah!
A scream sounded. Hua Xian covered his wrist and couldn't help shouting.
Who?
Lin Fei placed the knife across his chest and looked around vigilantly. At this time, a chuckle came, and Shang Ruoyi, wearing a cloak, slowly walked into everyone's sight.
Who are you?
Zhao Longhai asked angrily.
Ha!
Shang Ruoyi sneered. Didn't you say you were going to kill the He family? You don't even know who is in the He family, and you still have the nerve to say you want to raze them to the ground. You really don't know what you are talking about. Are you from the He family? Zhao Longhai said angrily. He. Shang Ruoyi's eyes passed over Zhao Junyi, and she said with a smile, Master Zhao, we are all acquaintances. Why don't you introduce us? Zhao Junyi nodded and smiled bitterly. This is the current head of the He family, Shang Ruoyi. Zhao Longhai looked at her with a cold look and a solemn expression. He looked at the black hidden weapon in her hand with fear, wondering what it was and how it could be so powerful. The dark hole could actually spit out fire. If the thing shot out from it hit the body at a very fast speed, it would become like the third brother, whose skin and flesh were directly shot through and unable to move. The officials except Zhao Junyi stood behind her. Thank you for saving my life, Madame Shang. Madame Shang, let's fight our way out together. The people of the Black Wind village set their eyes on her, with fear in their eyes. This woman was definitely not an ordinary person to be able to injure their third head like this. Shang Ruoyi fiddled with the gun in her hand. A smile appeared on her face, but the smile did not reach her eyes. Zhao Junyi looked at Shang Ruoyi and felt as if he had never known her. At this moment, the momentum around her changed drastically. The sharpness in her eyes was like a sharp blade, which made people tremble uncontrollably. Arrogant people. Lin Fei looked at the Yamen runners and sneered. In my opinion, you guys are stupid, and you put your hopes on a woman. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a burst of laughter around him. The Yamen runners had no other choice at this time. Apart from Shang Ruoyi, they didn't know who else they could rely on. Their Lord Zhao was like an obedient dog in front of the snow bandits. If they followed him, They would eventually become the souls under the knife of the snow bandits. A woman, not at home taking care of her husband and children, came here. Did she take a fancy to our boss? Do you want to be our wife? A snow bandit looked Zhang Ruoyi up and down. Her figure hidden under the cloak could not be seen clearly, but her face alone was enough to make them salivate. You look good. As he said that, he stretched out his hand towards her face. Zhang Ruoyi narrowed her eyes slightly, and she moved her feet, turned her fingers, and a silver light flashed on her hand, and a silver needle flew out directly. The next moment, there was a scream. A silver needle accurately pierced his right eye. You dare to let your dog eyes fall on me? Zhang Ruoyi sneered. You don't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. Unexpectedly, she started to fight without saying anything. The snow bandits in the Black Wind village were startled and drew their knives, pointing their sharp swords at her. I think you are tired of living. They swung their knives at her, with ferocious and cruel looks on their faces, wishing they could eat her. Zhang Ruoyi's face did not change. The next moment, she put away the silver needle in her palm, waved her cloak, pointed the muzzle of the gun in her hand at them, and hurled. She fired several shots and the snow bandits on the opposite side fell down. Seeing the power of the thing in her hand with their own eyes, the snow bandits were horrified. Looking at the bleeding wound on the forehead of their fallen companion, they were horrified. What kind of hidden weapon is this? It's so scary. Zhao Junyi looked at the gun in her hand, his eyes full of greed. If he could get this treasure and present it to the palace, the emperor would definitely reward him greatly. At that time, he would be promoted to a higher position, and he would be able to leave this place where no one should stay. Thinking of this, he quickly came behind Zhang Ruoyi and said flatteringly, Madam Zhang. Zhang Ruoyi glanced at him and said coldly, Isn't this Lord Zhao? I can't believe Lord Zhao is colluding with the snow bandits. When did this official, collude with the snow bandits? Didn't Lord Zhao want to lead them to my He family? Zhao Junyi's face changed slightly and he smiled awkwardly. Isn't this a knife on the neck, so I have to do it? Lord Zhao is really a man of integrity. Hua Xian grinned and held the wrist that was pierced by Zhang Ruoyi, looking at the gun in her hand with fear. Zhao Longhai and Lin Fei exchanged glances. Lin Fei took out a medicine bag from his arms and quickly threw it towards Zhang Ruoyi. Haha, this is the most toxic sand-sinking powder. Even if you are as strong as an ox, you will definitely die if you inhale this powder. Lin Fei laughed wildly. No matter how capable you are, it will be useless. Hearing what he said, Zhao Junyi stopped walking towards Zhang Ruoyi and took 2 steps back. Sand sinking? Ha ha ha. Do you feel weak all over now? You can't even lift your arms? He walked forward and grinned. If you tell me where the He family keeps the gold and silver, I might give you a quick death otherwise. He pointed at the snow bandits behind him and said, Let the brothers have a good time with you before you die. Before he finished speaking, the cold muzzle of the gun fell on his head. He swallowed all the words he hadn't finished saying. The arrogant attitude just now was silenced in an instant. You are not poisoned? Zhang Ruoyi sneered. Don't mention the sand. Even the red-crowned crane and arsenic have no effect on me. I am immune to all poisons. She sneered. It seems that Lord Zhao did not tell you clearly that I am not only the head of the He family, but also a doctor, or a poison doctor. Poison doctor? Zhao Junyi's face changed slightly. Could it be that he didn't have any strange disease at all, but was poisoned by her? Seeing Zhao Junyi's face change several times, Zhang Ruoyi said, Lord Zhao, you guessed right. The poison in your body was put by me personally. Zhao Junyi gritted his teeth. He didn't expect that he had been calculated by Zhang Ruoyi for so long. Zhao Longhai saw that he could not get any benefits from her, so he had the idea of retreating. Madam Zhang, we have no intention of fighting with you. Although the hidden weapon in your hand is extremely powerful, we, dozens of brothers, are not given away for nothing. If we really fight, it is still unknown who will win. It is better for us to go our separate ways. If you let us go today, we will not plot against the He family again. How about that? Unknown? I don't think so. Zhang Ruoyi smiled. When you went down the mountain, There were more than 100 people, but now there are only these left. How did the dozens of brothers who died in the city defense of the boss die? You won't forget so quickly. At this point, Zhao Longhai's face finally changed completely. You made something that can catch fire? At this time, Shang Ruoyi took out 2 grenades and shook them in front of them. Is this what the boss is talking about? The moment they saw the grenades, their faces became extremely ugly. Some snow bandits were so scared that they sat on the ground. That's it. When this falls to the ground, it makes a loud noise and flames shoot up into the sky. A monster. It's definitely a monster. Snow bandits retreated one after another, their eyes full of fear.
What do you want?
Zhao Longhai said in a deep voice. Shang Ruoyi originally wanted to recruit them and take them under her command, but looking at their behavior, they are not good people at all. They can succumb to her intimidation today, but they can become other people's lackeys tomorrow. They are demons who kill without blinking an eye. If one more of these people lives, good people will be more dangerous. Shang Ruoyi tightened the gun in her hand. It's nothing. I just want your life. Zhao Longhai heard this, his eyes full of anger. Since you want to fight to the death, I will accompany you to the end. As soon as he finished speaking, he waved the big knife in his hand, stared at Shang Ruoyi with gloomy eyes, and shouted, Whoever can kill her, I will reward him with 100 taels of gold.
Gold.
100 taels. The snow bandits in Haifeng village heard this. Their eyes were stained with greed. Selling them all can exchange for 100 taels of gold. A big reward will always bring out brave men. They were all overwhelmed by the 100 taels of gold and swung their knives at her again. As soon as Lin Fei, who was pointed at by her with a gun, made a move, Shang Ruoyi shot him in the forehead and his body fell limply. When Shang Ruoyi was about to replace her pistol with a machine gun in the space to kill everyone, she felt a strong dizziness. Her heart sank. Could it be that she took too many guns and ammunition from the space, so this happened? Thinking back to the last time she fainted because she used too much spiritual spring water when improving the soil, Shang Ruoyi's heart sank. I didn't expect the space to fail at this time. She bit her tongue hard, and the strong smell of blood filled her mouth. Although she was exhausted, her accuracy was not affected at all. Every bullet hit the target. After the last bullet was fired, she put the pistol on her waist, pulled the ring of the grenade, and threw it at them. When everyone saw the terrible monster throwing it at them, they were so scared that they hurriedly fled in all directions. How could their speed catch up with the speed of the grenade bandage?
Boom.
With a sound, flames shot up into the sky. Countless screams rang out. The snow bandits who were not killed or injured by the explosion got up from the ground and retreated in a panic. Although she felt weak from time to time, she stood straight and no one noticed anything unusual. Zhao Longhai panted and looked at the broken limbs around him. He thought to himself that if he didn't leave, he and his brothers might die here. He said in a deep voice, I didn't expect that a woman would plot against me today. If he told others, he would be laughed at by other village chiefs. He wanted to chop her in half with a knife, but he was afraid of the bomb in her hand. Shang Ruoyi was already at the end of her strength, and she felt even more dizzy. She staggered slightly. Hor Xian saw her movements and laughed loudly. She is exhausted. Everyone come together. Give her 100 taels of gold.
Kill.
With blood flowing from one hand, he held a long knife in the other hand and chopped at Shang Ruoyi. Shang Ruoyi's eyes were cold, and she snorted. Want to kill me? You are not qualified. As soon as she finished speaking, she picked up the knife on the ground. Her eyes were sharp and even more terrifying than the blade. At this time, a group of people wearing black robes rushed from the front. The team of more than 100 people came like a black dragon. Everyone in Yunxua village, listen to my order. Lu Qin shouted loudly. No matter what, protect the master? Yes. The people in Yunxua village surrounded the people in Heiyun village with a clatter. Lu Qin, what are you doing? Zhao Longhai frowned and said in a deep voice, You Yunxua village have robbed so much food some time ago, and you are still not satisfied. Do you want to interfere today? Looking at them in black robes, Zhao Longhai sneered. Why, you are tired of wearing white clothes, you don't want to be a snow bandit, and you are ready to set up your own camp? Lu Qin, with the power of your Yunshua village, you are not my opponent. Lu Qin's face was cold, and he said in a cold voice, Hee, but you touched someone you shouldn't have touched. Although I, Lu Qin, have become a bandit, I will never regret it once I recognize my master. He clenched the long knife in his hand and said loudly, Even if I risk my life, I will not let you touch her at all. Wei Xian took a step forward and held the spear in his hand horizontally. Heifeng village, if you have the guts, beat your grandfather first. Zhao Longhai looked at Shang Ruoyi fiercely. His eyes moved back and forth between her and Lu Qin, and he couldn't help showing anger. Lu Qin, you turtle rascal. You actually acted like a dog of the imperial court. You recognized a woman as your master, and you made the snow bandits lose face. Humph. Lu Qin sneered. We don't need you to interfere in the affairs of Yunshua village. If it weren't for Shang Ruoyi, they would not be able to find much food even if they searched the entire exile land. They didn't know how many brothers in their entire village would starve to death or freeze to death. Shang Ruoyi listened to Lu Qin's words, and her gamble was right. At this moment, a mechanical voice came from her mind. Loyalty value increased. The moment the voice disappeared, before Shang Ruoyi could react, a force was injected into her body. She suddenly felt that her connection with space was much stronger than before. She moved her fingers slightly, and several bullets appeared in her palm. At this time, Lu Qin and Zhao Longhai were already on the verge of a fight, ready to fight at any time. Shang Ruoyi smiled, walked forward slowly, took off the pistol on her waist, and put the bullets in her palm into the magazine one by one. Zhao Longhai's heart skipped a beat as he watched her movements. He thought she had used up all her hidden weapons, but she still had some. He followed her with a vigilant gaze and said in a deep voice, Madam Shang, are you going to use your numbers to bully the few? Use your numbers to bully the few? Shang Ruoyi sneered. Oh, I didn't expect it. The boss would be so picky about words. She loaded her pistol and looked at him lazily. When you guys surrounded a weak woman like me just now, why didn't the boss feel that he was bullying the weak and using your numbers to bully the few? As soon as she finished speaking, the snow bandits from the entire Black Cloud village and the Cloud Snow village looked at her awkwardly. Weak woman? You? Are you kidding? If you are a weak woman, then what is a real weak woman? You are obviously stronger than the bandits, and you still have the nerve to say that you are a weak woman. Can a weak woman take on the entire Black Wind village on her own? Can a weak woman convince the people of the Cloud Snow village? A weak woman could sum one up in the blink of an eye? Just looking at the corpses scattered all over the ground, some of which were incomplete. Who could believe that she did it? Shang Ruoyi could guess what they were thinking from their expressions and rolled her eyes at Lu Qin. Am I wrong? Hearing this, Lu Qin quickly agreed. Yes, the master is right. Shang Ruoyi looked at the people in Heiyun village with a sharp look in her eyes. Besides, do I need to be fair when I beat you? After saying that, she raised her pistol and pointed the black muzzle at Zhao Longhai. At this moment, a brother from Yunshua village came out, pointed the tip of the knife at Zhao Longhai, and said in a deep voice, Today, I will avenge my brother and his wife's family. A few years ago, when Zhao Longhai led a group of snow bandits from Heifeng village to rob houses, he directly massacred hundreds of people in a village. One of the families was his brother's family. His brother, sister-in-law, and a child, who just turned 2 years old, were all killed. After several twists and turns, he found out that it was Zhao Longhai who did it, so he joined Yunshua village, hoping that one day he could kill his enemy with his own hands. Unexpectedly, this day came so soon. The lives of the people in Heifeng village are unknown. When people mention Heifeng village and Qinglong village, they all hate them. Heh, a stinky boy who hasn't even grown all his hair, yet dares to talk to me like that. He raised his hand, and the long knife in his hand shone with cold light. At this moment, there was a sound of a gunshot, and Shang Ruoyi pulled the trigger, and the muzzle of the gun spurted out fire, and the people standing beside her in Yunshua village were shocked. Zhao Longhai's body was on the side, and the bullet rubbed his shoulder and flew past. The snow bandit behind him died, without even a scream. Feeling the burning pain on his shoulder, Zhao Longhai couldn't help but tremble with fear. A good man never suffers a loss in front of him. Now she has some powerful firearms in her hands, and with the people of Yunshua village, they can't deal with it at all. It's better to surrender first and show weakness, and then return to the village to make a long-term plan. With his eyes lowered, he stepped forward and said, Madame Shang is in possession of a rare treasure. A woman is not inferior to a man at all. I admire you and am willing to bring all the people from the Blackwind village to join you. What do you think? Shang Rui raised her eyebrows and sneered in her heart. She dared not accept such an unforgivable person. Lu Qin's face froze. Would the master believe him? Just when he was about to persuade her, he heard Shang Rui sneer. Boss, don't you understand the situation? What do you mean? When did I say I would keep you? Then what do you want? I heard that the boss of the Blackwind village has a private warehouse with a lot of good things. I don't like other things, but I am only interested in these treasures. I wonder if the boss is willing to give them up? Shang Rui had a smile on her face. This was the reason why she had not killed him yet. According to her understanding of these desperate criminals, the treasures and private vaults would never be placed in the mountain stronghold, but in an extremely hidden place. If he hadn't led the way, she might not have been able to find them. Zhao Longhai's eyes changed slightly. The treasures in the private vault were his lifeblood. How could he give them to others? I don't know where Madame Shang heard this nonsense from. I'm a bandit. How can I have a private vault? Shang Rui smiled. Really? She cast her eyes on the other people in the Blackwind village. Does anyone know the location of the private vault? Those people looked at each other and slowly lowered their heads. Zhao Longhai smiled when he saw this. You see, there really is no so-called private vault. Shang Rui nodded seriously. Maybe. She looked at the gun in her hand and said softly, In this case, there is no need for you to live. She looked at them with regret. I also wanted to say that if someone could tell me the location of this private vault, I would spare him. Since you don't want to live, I will send you on your way to comfort those who were killed by you. As soon as she finished speaking, she exerted force with her hands and was about to pull the trigger. At this moment, a snow bandit knelt on the ground with a plop and said in a trembling voice, I know. I know.
Speak.
Zhao Longhai's eyes were cold, and his hands exerted force, and the long knife swung at him. Shang Rui turned the muzzle of the gun, and the bullet shot towards his leg at lightning speed. With a plop, Zhao Longhai's body fell to the ground. Seeing this, the man climbed forward a few steps. There is a cave in the mountain behind the village, which is 1 person high. Inside is the treasure that the boss robbed. I'm going to kill you. Zhao Longhai didn't expect that someone knew where he hid his treasure and told Shang Rui so easily. You pig brain. Do you think she will really let you go? The man turned his eyes to Shang Rui. I told you everything I know. You can't go back on your word. Shang Rui smiled. I said I would let you go, and I will definitely not break my promise. Before the man's smile widened, she said faintly, but whether they will let you go is unknown. No snowflake is innocent during an avalanche. Those innocent people who were killed by them, the evil they did, cannot be blamed on Zhao Longhai. Each of them had blood on their hands. Shang Rui waved her hand, and Lu Qin led everyone to rush up. She turned her back to them, slowly closed her eyes, smelled the blood in the air, and frowned. She had thought that she would live comfortably in this life and would no longer be involved in the bloody storm, but it was God's will that her hands were stained with blood again, and perhaps the road ahead would be more thorny. At this moment, Lu Qin came behind her. Master. Shang Rui opened her eyes, turned around, looked at the scarlet on the ground, and whispered, Thank you for your hard work today. It is our honor to share the worries of the master. Lu Qin looked at the gun on her waist. His throat rolled a few times, but he still didn't say anything. Shang Rui knew his intention, but the pistol could not be given to him yet. Take a few capable men with you to Heifeng village to transport the things in the private storehouse back to the village. Lu Qin was stunned. Master, Are you asking your subordinates to go? Why, you want me to do these hard labor work myself? Shang Ruai glanced at him, and Lu Qin hurriedly shook his head. No, no, no. How can you let the master do such rough work? He smiled and said, Master, don't worry. Your subordinates will not touch a single penny of the treasures you bring back, and they will be waiting for you intact. At this moment, two people came up with Zhao Junyi. Master, this dog official surnamed Zhao wanted to run away, but we found him. Zhao Junyi's official uniform had long been tattered, and his body was soaked by snow water. He trembled and said, Shang, Madam Shang, thanks to you. Otherwise I would have been killed by those people in the Black Wind village. Shang Ruai sneered. Lord Zhao, I poisoned you. Don't you hate me? Zhao Junyi's face froze, and then he smiled. No hate.
No hat.
Lord Zhao is really flexible. Shang Ruai nodded, her eyes sharp. But I don't believe it.
No.
How can I not hate you? I've been tortured for so long, I would have hated you to the core. Shang Ruai said in a deep voice, I hate people who say one thing in front of you and another behind your back. I hate liars the most, so I don't plan to save you. Before Zhao Junyi could reply, the familiar feeling in his body came again. The poison attacked again. He looked at Shang Ruai with horror. Madam Shang, you can't just stand by and watch someone die. Why can't I? Shang Ruai waved away his hand that was holding her cloak and said coldly, To be kind to the enemy is to be cruel to yourself. You are the first to be unkind. You want to take the people from the Black Wind village to my He family. You know that they are all evil people who kill without blinking an eye. Most of my He family members are women. If they really fall into their hands, no one will have a good end. You would rather bury the lives of so many people for your own survival. For this reason alone, you don't deserve to live in this world anymore. As soon as she finished speaking, she heard Zhao Junyi's terrified cry. His robe was gradually soaked with blood. After a while, there was more and more blood on the ground. Zhao Junyi's body slowly fell down, and he was no longer breathing. The Yamen runners joined the Yunshua village. At this moment, a figure ran from behind.
Boss. Boss.
Something bad has happened. What happened? Lu Qin said in a deep voice. The people from Qinglong village have also gone down the mountain, but they left from the back mountain, so our people didn't notice them. They must have entered the village directly from the east. East? Shang Ruai's eyebrows jumped suddenly. The first family in the east was their He family. At this moment, a huge explosion was heard from the east. It was a grenade.
Master.
Full speed ahead, go to the He family. Yes. Shang Ruai ran towards the He family at a very fast speed. At this time, outside the gate of the He family, more than 200 snow bandits holding long knives had surrounded the He family. Yunqi only had the last grenade left in his hand. This was an extra grenade given to him by the Crown Prince's consort for emergency use. Unexpectedly, he actually used it. Lin Mu, the leader of Qinglong village, looked at Yunqi with gloomy eyes. He was wearing a leopard skin, holding a big axe, with a face full of flesh. He pouted and said, Where is the He Jingheng? Let him get out. Don't hide in there like a turtle. You are not worthy to see the master. Yunqi looked around without leaving a trace, and his heart sank slightly. He didn't expect that the people of Qinglong village would almost come out in full force. Their few secret guards could not resist at all. They must not show their cowardice at the moment. If they find out, something big will happen. At this moment, a head popped out of the gatehouse. The people who were hiding in the gatehouse hurriedly pulled Ma Wu in. Smelly boy, what are you doing? Are you looking for death? There are snow bandits outside. Snow bandits, no? They kill people without blinking an eye. I know, I just took a look. Ma Wu smiled, glanced outside, and said nothing more. Look? What's there to look at? Wait until that big knife cuts your neck, and I'll see if you still want to look. The man said coldly, Don't make a sound if you don't want to die. Lin Mu couldn't help but get angry when Yunqi said this. You servant. How dare you talk to me like this? You are really impatient to live. Yunqi clenched the soft sword in his hand, his eyes cold. If you are not afraid of death, you can come forward. Lin Mu looked at the grenade in his hand with fear. Just now, it was such a small thing that caused them to lose many brothers. He gave a look to Yan Yi, the second in command, not far away. Yan Yi understood and quietly came to the courtyard wall. While they were not prepared, his body flew into the air, jumped up, and fell into the courtyard. Before the smile on his lips could expand, he felt a chill behind him. Before he turned around, a super powerful big palm slapped his back.
Puff.
Blood flowed out of his mouth, and his body fell to the ground. A unique smell of a ferocious beast lingered at the tip of his nose. It made the hairs on his body stand up. He reluctantly looked to the side and saw a huge tiger reflected on the wall. Old tiger. He was horrified, and before he could shout, a stone hit his head accurately. Yan Yi rolled his eyes and fainted. Ah Chim walked forward. Xiaobai glanced at him and couldn't help rolling his eyes. Minding his own business, it could obviously knock out this stinky thing by itself, but he had to interfere. Now that the prey has become his, he has worked in vain, and when the owner comes back later, he wants to take credit. Thinking of this, it blinked a few times, wondering whether to knock out this annoying guy named Ah Chim. Seeing that he was still not coming out, Lin Mu had a bad feeling in his heart. You guys should leave quickly. My master won't care. But if you are stubborn, don't blame us for being rude. Yunqi said in a deep voice. Lin Mu raised his eyebrows when he heard him say that. He was asked to leave. This was not the style of the Dinghua Palace.
Could it be that?
Could it be that the defense inside was empty at this time?
He really guessed it right.
There were only 10 secret guards guarding here at this time. Even if they could fight 10 with one, they were no match for these more than 200 people. The explosion at the door just now shocked the people of the He family who were waiting at the old princess's residence. What was that horrible sound just now? The old princess stroked her chest lightly, her face pale. I have never heard of it before. He stood at the door and looked out through the door. She saw Xiaobai lying in the middle of the yard. Looking at its back, she felt an unprecedented sense of peace. Grandma, don't worry, we must trust my sister-in-law, and nothing will happen. After she finished speaking, she rolled up her sleeves and took out a dagger. This dagger was given to me by my sister-in-law before. Today I will use this dagger to guard here. If there is one snow bandit, I will kill one. If there are two, I will kill a pair. Seeing this, He Jingshi stood up suddenly, his eyes red. A good man should have ambitions. I am such a waste. Now that the enemy is at hand, I can only hide here and let my sister-in-law and sister protect me. Such behavior is really unworthy of the ancestors of the He family and the name of Dinghua Palace. Lin heard him say this, wiped her tears, and said nothing. Second brother, let's go together. Okay. He drew out his sword and stood guard at the door, with Hiyuni. At this time, Lin Mu at the door had confirmed that there were not many people guarding the He family at this time, and he couldn't help but show a smug look on his face. Since your master doesn't want to come out, let's go in and find him. After he finished speaking, he picked up the axe and shouted loudly, Brothers, charge. The first one to rush in will be rewarded heavily. Yunqi was anxious, but he didn't dare to show it on his face. He said in a deep voice, Everyone listen. Don't let anyone enter the mansion and disturb the master's peace. The next moment, they fought in one place. Yunqi held the only remaining grenade in his hand, looking at Lin Mu with a smug look on his face. He had already planned that if it really came to the last step, he would die with him and never let these snow bandits into the mansion. According to the behavior of this group of snow bandits, none of the women in the mansion could escape. It must be said that the skills of the secret guards of Dinghua Palace are first class. But 2 fists can't beat 4 hands. Under the siege of the people in Qinglong village, they gradually showed signs of fatigue and had to retreat. Guard the door of the mansion, and never let them in, Yunqi said in a deep voice. If a hole is opened, it will be impossible to defend. At this moment, with a creak, the door of He Mansion was opened from the inside. Ma Wu's figure appeared at the door. He slid to Lin Mu nimbly. He said with a flattering look on his face, Boss, I am the gatekeeper of the He family. Today I want to surrender to you. He smiled and said, Boss, there are only the elderly, the weak, women and children in the mansion now. They're just bluffing. No one can match you. Now is the best time to capture the He family. Ha ha ha. Good.
Lin Mu laughed loudly.
Yunqi's face was gloomy. He didn't expect that there was a traitor in the mansion. He looked at Ma Wu and wished he could chop him with a knife. Ma Wu shrank his neck and hid his thin body backwards. Lin Mu's face was full of hideous smiles. He glared at Yunqi and laughed wildly. God really helps me. With such a favorable time, place, and people, you, the He family, will definitely be in my pocket. He waved his hand violently. Charge. Yunqi's face was solemn, and he looked ready to die. He flew forward and fought with Lin Mu. Yunqi's skills were not bad, but the continuous battles had consumed most of his physical strength. Now, facing Lin Mu, he was directly at a disadvantage. Lin Mu saw the opportunity, and the sharp tip of the knife scratched his arm. Blood gushed out, and the soft sword in his hand fell to the ground.
Prépare tout dit.
Lin Mu swung his axe and chopped at Yunqi. Yunqi's eyes were determined. He took out a grenade and was about to pull the ring. At this moment, there were a few deafening sounds of. The snow bandits behind Lin Mu fell one after another. Lin Mu hurriedly turned around and saw a woman in a cloak standing proudly not far away, followed by a group of people in black robes, and their number seemed to be no less than theirs. The moment Yunqi saw Shang Ruai, he was both happy and worried, and subconsciously wanted her to leave quickly.
Who are you?
Lin Mu had never seen such a beautiful girl. His eyes widened for a moment. He wished he could take her back to the village immediately and get married. But the current situation was not enough to make him lose his mind. Shang Ruai did not speak, but slowly pointed the gun at him. Although he did not know what kind of hidden weapon this was, a sense of danger spread throughout his body. He tightly grasped the axe in his hand and stared at the gun in her hand. At this time, Ma Wu, who was standing beside him, whispered, Boss, that is the current mistress of the He family, Shang Ruai. She looked at Ma Wu with narrowed eyes. She did not expect that she had taken her in with such kindness, but she raised a traitor. Shang Ruai's lips curled up with a bloodthirsty smile. In this life, she hated betrayal the most. The mistress of the He family, the prince consort of He Jingheng? Lin Mu smiled wickedly. He Jingheng is really lucky. He can marry such a beauty, even though he is lame. It is better to follow me than to follow him, a useless man. What do you think? Shang Ruai took a few steps forward, with a smile on her face, but her eyes were extremely cold. Guess what happened to the person who just said that? What happened? Maybe he has reached the Naiha Bridge now. Shang Ruai put the pistol on her waist and took out 2 grenades with her backhand. Lin Mu's face changed suddenly. Yunqi was overjoyed when he saw this. Lin Mu took a few steps back and said in a deep voice, Don't think that you can do whatever you want with 2 firearms. Our Qinglong village. He stopped talking before he finished speaking, staring at the scene in amazement. Shang Ruai handed the grenade in her hand to Yunqi, and then took out 2 more. In this way, she took out more than 20 grenades one after another, and piled them together. Let alone blowing them to death, it would not be difficult to flatten their village. Shang Ruai smiled. Is that enough? If not. She took out 2 more grenades from her sleeves. Enough. Enough. Don't take any more.
Lin Mu said loudly.
Not only him, but even Yunqi was surprised, looking at her sleeves suspiciously. How big is the sleeve pocket of the crown prince's concubine? It can hold so many things? Isn't it heavy? Lin Mu's eyes were red, and he looked at Shang Ruai unwillingly. He didn't expect that this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for revenge would be messed up by her. Shang Ruai weighed the grenade in her hand, and everyone's heart went up and down with the movement of her hand, for fear that she would not be able to catch it and drop it to the ground. Lin Mu looked at the people behind her and was stunned. Lu Qin, you actually surrendered to the Dingwa Palace. What's the difference between this and recognizing a thief as your father? Recognize a thief as your father? Lu Qin's face was ashen, and he wished he could rush up and chop him.
Can he speak?
What does it mean to recognize a thief as your father? What generation? Every time Shang Ruai took a step closer, the snow bandits of Qinglong village took a step back. Lin Mu said in a deep voice, "What do you want?" Shang Ruai sneered, "I should be the one asking you this question. You are holding sharp weapons and surrounding my He family. You are bullying my He family because there's no one in the family, right? You even have the nerve to ask me what I want. It's really ridiculous." Lin Mu's face twitched a few times, and he said in a deep voice, "If you ignite these firearms, not only us, but everyone present will die. Today, either you let us go, or we will die together." After the words fell, the snow bandits of Qinglong village raised the forehead knives in their hands, staring at her seriously. Shang Ruai sneered, "It is impossible to let you go." Without giving Lin Mu a chance to interrupt, Shang Ruai continued, "Now, you have two choices, either die or surrender."
Submit?
Lin Mu looked at Lu Qin and rolled his eyes. Submit and become someone's grandson? Is he free? Seeing that he refused to express his opinion, Shang Ruai was not in a hurry and continued to take out grenades from her sleeves. Everyone present was terrified. Even Yunqi couldn't help twitching his eyes. Where was the princess's dress made? It could hold so many things. He must ask one day and make one for himself. For a long time, Lin Mu refused to nod. Shang Ruai's patience ran out. She knew that these people would not learn their lesson unless they were taught a lesson. She looked at the time, and it was about time. At this moment, there was a loud from the hilltop not far away. "What's going on? Earthquake?" At this moment, someone shouted, "Fire! It's on fire!" People all looked in the direction of his finger. After a while, a person said weakly, "Isn't that the direction of our Qinglong village?"
What?
Qinglong village? They looked carefully. How could this be the direction of Qinglong village? It was clearly Qinglong village that exploded and caught fire. "What's going on?" Shang Ruai smiled. "I didn't like it, so I asked someone to it up." Hiss. "I didn't like it, so I blew it up?" How could this be a girl? It was clearly a woman. "You." Shang Ruai glanced at him and said with a smile, "Your village has been blown up. You can go to the Black Wind village, not too far away. I just slaughtered them and I didn't have time to up the village." Bloodbathed the Black Wind village? Lin Mu's face changed completely. When he set his eyes on Shang Ruai's face again, the contempt in his eyes had completely disappeared. "Never again dare to look down on her just because she is a woman. I will only give you the last 5 breaths to consider. Whether you and your brother can save their lives or not depends on your decision." Shang Ruai said in a deep voice. 5, 4, 3, 2. Before she could finish a word, she heard Lin Mu whispered, "You can surrender, but before surrendering, we must settle the grievances with Dinghua."
Oh.
What grievances? Just when she thought Lin Mu would say something like how many brothers He Jinghing killed, he turned his face, and Shang Ruai saw that there was a scar extending from the corner of his mouth to his ear. Lin Mu said angrily, "My handsome face was ruined by that rascal He Jinghing, and I still can't get a wife. Just this?" Shang Ruai looked at him in disbelief. "Don't you have anything else to say?" Seeing her nonchalant look, Lin Mu couldn't help but raise his voice. "Isn't this a big deal?" She looked him up and down. His appearance was really unbearable to look at. She said with disdain, "With your appearance, disfigurement is almost the same as plastic surgery. Even without this scar, just based on your appearance, it would be difficult for you to marry a wife, unless the woman is blind. If it were me, I would never marry you even if I was always accompanied by the ancient Buddha." Her words were like a string of cannons, which instantly silenced Lin Mu. At this moment, a sound of breaking through the air came, and he subconsciously reached out to take it, only to see a porcelain bottle lying in his hand. "This is the ointment I developed. It can remove scars. You can use it first." Lin Mu tightened the ointment in his palm and said, "And the soldiers of Dinghua Palace killed so many brothers in our village." Shang Ruai frowned and interrupted him. "As bandits, isn't it normal for you to be wiped out by the court? If you fell into my hands, I would have wiped you out long ago. Why would I let you live to this day? Shang Ruai waved her hand and said in a deep voice, Do you have anything else to say? If you have, say it all at once. If you keep dragging your feet, don't blame me for being rude. Seeing the coldness in her eyes, and then looking at the piles of grenades at her feet, he didn't dare to say anything even if he had something to say. Are you going to surrender or not? After saying that, Shang Ruai took out a grenade, pulled the ring under the horrified eyes of everyone, and threw it far away. At the moment the grenade landed, there was a flame shot up into the sky, and the earth shook. When Shang Ruai reached out to take out the grenade again, she heard Lin Mu shouting, Surrender! 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 Can't I surrender? He was afraid that he would be too late, and the thing would be thrown at his feet. Yunqi stepped forward and whispered, Princess, do we need to give them pills? Most of the people who surrendered would be given poisonous pills at first and receive antidotes regularly to achieve the purpose of control. Lin Mu looked at Yunqi with fire in his eyes. Sure enough, there were not many good people under He Jingheng. I was ready to take poison, but I heard Shang Ruai say calmly, I have never been willing to control others in this way.
But
before Yunqi could refute, she continued, If he is determined to betray, it will be useless to control him with poison. It will only make him do things more covertly and difficult to detect. She looked around fiercely and whispered, I can make the head of Lin and his brothers surrender today. If he betrays me tomorrow, I can raise their mountain to the ground. As soon as she finished speaking, not only the people in Qinglong village, but also the people in Yunxue village could not help but shudder. Shang Ruai set her eyes on Ma Wu, and before she could say anything, Lin Mu kicked him to the ground. Ma Wu was completely dumbfounded. Who would have thought that this He mansion could turn over? Big boss. Ma Wu turned his head to look at Shang Ruai, kneeling on the ground and crying, Master, please have mercy. Give me a chance. I will never dare to do it again. I swear, I will never do anything to let down the He family again. Please have mercy. I am willing to work like a cow and a horse, and work for you all my life. Shang Ruai sneered. If I let you go today, what does what I just said mean? If she didn't come back in time today, the consequences would be disastrous. This mansion door was specially designed by her just in case if someone didn't open the door inside. Even if you hit it with a pillar, it might not be able to open the door. Shang Ruai waved her hand, and Lu Qin waved the knife and wiped his neck with his backhand. The blood sprayed on the ground, which was particularly dazzling. Lin Mu, the big boss of Qinglong village, is willing to lead his brothers to surrender. Lin Mu threw the axe on the ground and bowed. The snow bandits behind him followed suit. Shang Ruai nodded, acknowledging them.
Master.
Lin Mu smiled awkwardly. Is my second brother okay? Second brother? At this moment, there were bursts of exclamations from the team behind Lu Qin. White tiger. It's him again. Everyone turned their heads and saw a white tiger biting a man's leg and dragging him forward. Everyone watched it approach step by step, and their hearts tightened. Xiaobai came to Shang Ruai and put the man down. Shang Ruai saw this and smiled. Xiaobai did a good job. Xiaobai. This big guy is actually called Xiaobai? Such a fierce beast was actually given a dog's name. Under the horrified gaze of everyone, Xiaobai sat on the ground and rubbed Shang Ruai's hand with his head. She had no choice but to touch its head. This big guy, not ashamed, but proud. Doesn't it feel ashamed to be called this name? Xiaobai noticed the gazes of everyone, stood up suddenly, and roared at them. What a nice and majestic name the master gave it. Yan Yi lying on the ground, his eyebrows twitching wildly. Could he have been bitten to death? He walked forward and turned him over. Seeing that he had just fainted, he finally let go of his worries. He saluted and said, Thank you, Master, for not killing me. As soon as he finished speaking, he felt a fierce gaze looking at him. He looked at the white tiger. Yes, it was it. At this time, Xiaobai was looking at him fiercely, with a fierce light in his azure blue eyes. Lin Mu thought for a moment and saluted to Xiaobai. Seeing this, Xiaobai sat down again with satisfaction. She glanced at him lightly, thinking that he was sensible.
Rin mues lips twitchet.
Is this white tiger a spirit? Since you follow me, I will definitely not treat you badly. Just like Yunshua village, she gave Linmu a key and told him to go to the town to find Manager Li. After taking the food up the mountain, Linmu looked at the piles of food and was secretly shocked. Why did he feel that he had fallen into her trap? It was obvious that the food had been prepared in advance. Could it be that she had already planned to deal with them? At this moment, Yanyi came to his room. Brother, where did this food come from? Did we take down the He family? Linmu looked at him unhappily. What do you mean by taking down the He family? It was obvious that they were taken down by the He family. Aren't those foods the ones they exchanged for their indentures? Brother, where is the white tiger? I want to use its skin as a cushion. Before he finished speaking, Linmu took off his shoes and threw them at him. What nonsense are you talking about? Do you think that ancestor is something you can covet? Yanyi was unable to react for a moment and was hit by the sole of the shoe. Brother, what's wrong? At this time, a brother from the village came forward. Boss Lu from Yunshua village is here.
Come in.
He pointed at Yanyi and said, I'll explain it to you later. Lu Qin will be here soon. Shut up, do you understand? As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Qin walked in. Boss Lin. Why did Boss Lu come here today? It's good for both our villages. Lu Qin smiled. Since Black Wind Village no longer exists, I thought about bringing all the snow bandits in this area under our command, which can be regarded as a relief for the master. What do you think of Boss Lin? That's good, of course. How could Lin Mu dare to say no? What Lu Qin meant might be what the master meant. Black Wind Village is gone? Master? What does all this mean? Yanyi didn't let out a breath until Lu Qin left. I'm suffocating to death. I told you to shut up, but did I tell you to hold your breath? Lin Mu glanced at him with a look of disappointment. With this kind of brain, if Lu Qin had dinner here, he would probably suffocate to death there. Lin Mu told him what happened. He thought he would be very angry after surrendering to the Dingwa Palace, but the first sentence he asked was, in this case, we don't have to go hungry from now on.
Lin Mu choked.
He didn't expect that he cared about this. But then again, if it weren't for hunger and cold, who would be willing to be a bandit and do those murders and arson? After solving the problem of the snow bandits, Shang Ruai walked into the mansion, and Yunqi and others dispersed to various places in the He mansion and hid again. She walked into the old lady's room, and everyone heard the door and became nervous. He Yuni and He Jingxi held the sharp blades in their hands and looked at the door nervously. The moment the door was opened, He Jingxi swung the sword in his hand. The silver light flashed at Shang Ruai's fingertips, and a silver needle shot out, deflecting the sword. Sister-in-law. He Yuni's face lit up. She put away the dagger, walked quickly to her and looked her up and down. Are you injured? Shang Ruai shook her head and looked at the people in the room. She walked up to the old princess and said softly, I frightened my grandmother. The old princess shook her head and looked behind her. Seeing that no one followed her, she knew that the crisis was over. She patted Shang Ruai's hand and sighed. Thank you for your hard work, child. Shang Ruai smiled. It's just some snow bandits. It's not hard work. The old princess knew that things would not be as easy as she said. Just listening to the deafening noises, she could guess the danger. Shang Ruai sent people to inspect other rooms in the mansion, and the workers who stayed here were all fine. She called Wang Erju and told him everything about Ma Wu. Upon hearing this, Wang Erju knelt on the ground and said regretfully, Master, I really didn't know he would do such a treacherous thing. If I had known, I would never have let him come to work in your house. I don't mean to blame you, but you still need to know about this so that you can tell his family. Yes, I understand. This was the first time that Li Xian and Li Tian lived in the He mansion. Li Xian looked out from the servant's room. The house was very quiet. He whispered, Did you hear the loud noise outside just now? Li Tian glanced at him. I'm not deaf. What was that? Li Tian was lying on the Kong and glanced at him. How should I know? Li Xian was so angry with him. What's wrong with you? Did you get kicked in the brain by a donkey? What can I do? Li Tian sneered. Tell me the truth. Did you take all the credit for the 2 strawberry seedlings you sent back to His Royal Highness the Crown Prince? How did I take all the credit? You didn't even mention my name the whole time. You just said that you took the opportunity to dig them out. At this moment, Ah Cheng's voice came in. What are you yelling about? Hearing this, Li Xian opened the door and smiled embarrassedly. He stole my quilt. Ah Cheng glanced at them and said in a deep voice, Keep your voice down. Yes, yes, yes. Seeing Ah Cheng leave, the 2 of them did not dare to continue arguing and went to bed directly. When He Jingheng received Ah Cheng's note, his face was very ugly. He did not expect that so many things had happened in just a few days. Go back to the mansion. Go back to the mansion? Yun Tian was stunned. When he figured out where the mansion in the master's mouth was, he couldn't help but stop him and said, Master, in 2 days, the things here will be settled. Go back to the mansion. The words on the tip of his tongue turned around, and finally, they were all swallowed back into his stomach. No one can change the master's decision. After a snowstorm, the road that was already difficult to walk on became difficult to walk. Now, let alone going to the county, even going to the town is as difficult as ascending to heaven. Xiao Bai was lying in her room. In the past few days, Hiyuni ran to her room whenever she had something to do, saying that she wanted to talk to her, but in fact she just wanted to see Xiao Bai. Sister-in-law, where did you find this white tiger? After spending a few days together, Hiyuni was sure that Xiao Bai was a very human white tiger who would never hurt anyone easily, so she was squatting in front of Xiao Bai's tiger head and said enviously, Is Xiao Bai a female? Can she give birth to cubs? If she does, can you give me one? I also want to raise a tiger. Xiao Bai raised his eyelids and glanced at her. You are a female, and your whole family is female. I am the White Tiger King, not a tigress. Shang Rui smiled. Xiao Bai is a male tiger and can't give birth to cubs. She poured a cup of tea and handed it to Hiyuni. Drink some tea to warm yourself up. Hiyuni took it with a smile and said with some regret, It would be great if I could raise a tiger. If there is danger, I won't be afraid anymore. Shang Rui's eyes lit up when she heard her say this. Why didn't she think of it? Her spiritual spring water can attract Xiao Bai, and it can definitely attract other tigers or beasts. If she can collect more tigers and use them to guard the house, not to mention thieves, even ants will probably have to take a detour. She looked at Xiao Bai, and it only felt that there were 2 burning gazes that were hard to ignore falling on it. The tiger's skin twitched a few times, and it couldn't stand Shang Rui's gaze, so it turned its tiger head and looked at her. Sure enough, she was staring at her with shining eyes. After Hiyuni left, Shang Rui walked slowly to it and rubbed its ears a few times. Xiao Bai, do you want to be the Tiger King? Do you want to have a group of younger brothers? Xiao Bai was about to shake his head, but when he heard her say that, he couldn't help but blink. Tiger King? Younger brothers? That sounds good. Shang Rui saw it hesitate and knew there was a chance. The smile on the corner of her lips widened, and she continued to fool. Just think about it, if you have dozens or hundreds of tigers under your command, how majestic it would be. Xiao Bai was still too naive and was confused by her few words. Until it set out to find other tigers, it still thought that the master wanted it to become a Real Tiger King, so it would do this. As soon as Xiao Bai left, a group of Yamen runners came and said that they were asked to gather at the City Defense Department. All those who were exiled must go. Sister-in-law, why are you mobilizing so many troops? Hiyuni followed her. Today, Hiyuni wore a pink brocade robe with a circle of fur collar at the neckline, looking very cute. Shang Rui tightened her cloak and whispered, I heard that Zhao Junyi was killed by the snow bandits from the Black Wind village. Maybe it's the new lord from the City Defense Department who asked us to go and pay a visit to him. Her guess was not wrong. At this time, Zhang Wenyu was followed by a man in his 40s with a somewhat wretched face. He was the official transferred to the place of exile, Zhao Gang. He looked forward and saw that everyone was there, except for the He family. Master Zhang, have you sent someone to inform the He family? Zhang Wenyu nodded, and at this moment, a group of people came up in a mighty manner. Zhao Gang took a closer look. How could this be a fugitive? The way he dressed and the style were no less than before in the capital. He looked around and didn't see He Jingheng, and his eyes couldn't help but darken. He walked past Zhang Wenyu and said in a deep voice, "Where is He Jingheng?" Shang Ruai said lightly, "My husband is not in a good condition to travel. It's icy and snowy, so I didn't let him come over." "How dare you? Don't you understand what I say?" Zhao Gang stared, pointed at Shang Ruai's nose, and shouted, "Bring him here quickly. Otherwise I will punish him, and none of you He family members will be able to escape." Hearing this, the He family members all looked very ugly. This official came up to make trouble for their He family, and it was clearly aimed at them. He must have been instructed by someone. "Don't you understand what I say?" Zhao Gang pulled out the whip from his waist and raised his hand to swing it down. Shang Ruai stepped forward, grabbed the whip with her bare hands, and exerted force with her hands, and the whip was easily taken away by her. Seeing this, Lord Zhang slowly let go of his worries. Shang Ruai was someone that His Royal Highness the Crown Prince cared about. If she got hurt and His Royal Highness blamed her, he would have no way to explain. Zhao Gang did not expect that this seemingly weak woman in front of him could actually know martial arts and that she could easily take the whip from his hand. His face looked very ugly. He said angrily, "You want a rebel?
Come.
Take her into custody immediately."
Wait.
Zhang Wenyu stepped forward, his tone slightly sinking. "Lord Zhao, you may not understand much since you have just arrived. He Jingheng is still in a wheelchair. If we let him come in this icy and snowy weather, we may have to wait until dark." Hearing what Lord Zhang said, Zhao Gang's face eased slightly, but he still looked at Shang Ruai with anger in his eyes. She dared to make him lose face in front of so many people. If he didn't teach her a lesson, how would he establish his authority in the exile land in the future? Moreover, when he was assigned here, he had received instructions from his superiors that it would be best to pin all the members of the He family to death in this place of exile. Shang Ruai handed the whip to the Yamen runner next to her, and the Yamen runner, they knew that when the snow bandits came down the mountain, except for the city defense department and the people living near the city defense department, there were no casualties in the entire Shia village. In the past, only a handful of people could survive when the snow bandits came down the mountain. This time, so many people survived, which must be the work of the He family. It takes extraordinary strength to be able to repel the snow bandits. Moreover, they all heard the earth-shaking noises, and they didn't know what kind of powerful weapon could make the earth tremble. In their eyes, only the He family could do such a shocking thing. So at this time, the attitude towards the He family was naturally cautious, and they dared not be disrespectful. Especially the mistress of the He family. Lord Zhang walked in front of the crowd and said in a deep voice, "This is the newly appointed official, Lord Zhao Gang. All matters in the exile area will be handled by Lord Zhao."
Shang.
Also surnamed Zhao. Could he be related to that rascal Zhao Junyi? Zhao Gang stepped forward, lowered the corners of his lips, and said in a deep voice, "This official has always been strict. You must not fall into my hands, otherwise don't blame me for turning against you." His eyes moved across the faces of the crowd and suddenly fixed on Hyuni. Zhao Junyi just loves money, while he is a greedy and lustful person. Shang Ruai noticed his eyes, and her heart sank. I didn't expect that he would dare to set his sights on Hyuni. She moved her feet slightly to block Hyuni. Seeing this, Zhao Gang had a worse impression of Shang Ruai. He couldn't deny that Shang Ruai was beautiful, but she was beautiful, and her aura was very scary. He liked a delicate beauty like Hyuni. "You." Zhao Gang pointed at Hyuni. "Come forward." Shang Ruai frowned, pulled Hyuni's arm, and asked in a deep voice, "I wonder what the Lord is doing? What does it have to do with you?" "I want her. What do you want to say to my child, who is not grown up yet?" Shang Ruai laughed sarcastically. "Don't you have any selfish motives? How dare you, a convicted woman, disobey me again and again? I think you are tired of living." Shang Ruai stepped forward and said in a deep voice, "So, what if you are a convicted woman? It was the emperor who decided to exile the king's palace, not you. As an official, you only have the right to manage. We have not committed any crime here. Not to mention that you are just an official. Even the Prime Minister standing here has no right to punish us. Disobedience? This word is not worthy of coming out of your mouth. Do you think you are the emperor? Zhao Gang didn't expect Shang Ruai to be so strong, and he didn't know how to respond for a moment. He thought he could use his status as an official to suppress them, but he didn't expect that he would be scolded by her in the end. The most important thing is that what she said was right, and he couldn't refute it at all. But today is his first day in office. If he is embarrassed by her here, how can he convince the people in the exile place in the future? He was thinking about how to answer, and heard Shang Ruai continue, I don't know why the adults let my sister come forward. Zhao Gang's eyes fell on He-Yuni's little face, and a hint of obscenity flashed in his eyes. Although it was not easy to detect, Shang Ruai still saw it clearly. That's my business. What does it have to do with you? Zhao Gang said angrily, You are a criminal woman. How dare you want to control me? Sir, don't flatter yourself. No one wants to control you. As long as you don't provoke us, we will be friendly with you. If you don't want to live a peaceful life, you will be waiting for you. This is the first time that Shang Ruai is so strong in front of everyone, and she is so strong with the officials. Everyone was terrified, fearing that it would be bad for them if they angered the officials. If it were in the past, Shang Ruai would have to weigh these words. As the saying goes, people don't fight with officials. If they angered the officials, it would definitely have an impact on them. She is fine alone. At most she can hide in the space, but the whole family of He Mansion and the workers who work for He Mansion, she has to worry about it. But now, the space has unlocked cold weapons. With these guns, ammunition, bombs, and grenades, not to mention attacking the city, at least there is no problem in retreating to one side. Endurance has never been her character. She endured before just for the sake of the overall situation. Now that she is confident, she will definitely stand up straight. Zhao Gang was so angry that he trembled all over. He pointed at Shang Ruai and said, You. Shang Ruai stepped forward, saluted to Lord Zhang, and said seriously, May I ask, sir, do we, the exiled prisoners, just pay taxes and stay in Qingzhou? Zhang, endurance has never been her character. She endured before just for the sake of the overall situation. Now that she is confident, she will definitely stand up straight. Zhao Gang was so angry that he trembled all over. He pointed at Shang Ruai and said, You. Zhao Gang's face was ashen, his eyes were as sharp as a knife, and he wished he could drag her out and chop her up. But he couldn't do it. In front of so many people, he was humiliated by a woman. How could he swallow this breath? But now is not a good time to continue arguing with her. She is just a woman. As long as this place of exile is under his jurisdiction, he will have a chance to discipline them.
He can just take his time.
Back in the mansion, the old princess sighed. Ruai, offending the officials will not benefit the He family at the moment. Ruai, you did not handle today's matter properly. If it was the Dingwa Palace in the past, let alone such officials, even the emperor, hey, let's not talk about the past. Shang Ruai stepped forward and said softly, Grandma, I understand what you mean, but if you don't say this today, Zhao Gang may not do anything or say such dirty words. Yuni is already not young, and she knows a thing or two about many things.
What if she is remembered by that Zhao?
But the people should not fight against the officials, not to mention that we are exiles. The old lady whispered, If we really offend the officials, the He family will have a hard time in this place of exile in the future. Hard time? How is it possible? The people don't fight against the officials because they are not as strong as the government, but our He family has never been afraid of them. Shang Ruai raised a smile at the corner of her lips. The snow bandits have been a headache for the court for so long. They have sent troops many times but failed to wipe them out, but they still can't do anything to us. Grandma, just put your heart at ease. It won't be the day when the fish die and the net is broken. Even if it really comes to that time, it will definitely be the fish that die and the net that is not broken. Seeing her like this, the old princess felt much more at ease. Although Shang Ruai has been married into the palace for a short time, she can get a glimpse of her character. If she was not absolutely sure, Shang Ruai would never say this in front of her. Hearing you say this, I will no longer care about this matter. Grandma will hand over this he family to you, and I believe you can manage it well. Shang Ruai came out from the old lady and saw a man in a black cloak standing in the yard. He Jingheng turned around slowly. Shang Ruai couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. When did you come back? He Jingheng's lips curled slightly. If I didn't come back, where would I go to see Madame so domineering? Shang Ruai blushed when she heard him say that. Since you came back so early, why didn't you show up? If I went, those grandsons would definitely test me endlessly. I'm so annoyed just thinking about it. He Jingheng walked forward and took out a box from his arms. Open it and take a look.
What?
Shang Ruai took it and was about to open it when she saw Aunt Li, who was serving the old lady, coming over and saying with a smile, "The old lady said that you two should go back to your own yard." Shang Ruai blushed when she heard that, glared at him, tightened her robe, and walked quickly to her own yard. He Jingheng smiled and walked slowly behind her. Yunqi and Yuntian gathered together, looking at the master's back, and couldn't help but sigh. You don't know, I didn't see the master smile this time when I went out with the master. Yuntian walked on thin ice every day, afraid that he would be thrown out by the master if he did something wrong. Every time at this time, he envied Yunqi very much. Following the prince's wife must be more comfortable than following the prince. You shouldn't say that. Yunqi responded lightly. How else can you say it? Before meeting the prince's wife, when did you see the master smile? Yuntian was stunned, looking at Yunqi in shock and couldn't help but give a thumbs up. Insightful. It's so insightful. Shang Ruai returned to the room and opened the brocade box. Inside was a tourmaline bracelet. The color was extremely beautiful. I usually see that you don't seem to be keen on wearing headdresses, so I picked a bracelet for you. When Shang Ruai saw this bracelet, her eyes lit up. I have to say that He Jingheng's vision is really good. Shang Ruai did not mention the matter of the snow bandits. After all, even if she did not say it, someone would definitely tell him. When He Jingheng came to the study, Yunqi told him everything that had happened in the past few days. Firearms? He Jingheng raised his eyebrows. Will it explode and shoot up into the sky when thrown out? That's right, it is many times more powerful than the gunpowder used in previous wars. Yunqi whispered, and it is safer and more convenient than gunpowder. It is less than the size of a palm, can be carried on the body, and will not explode at will. He Jingheng was shocked when he heard this. Master, if we can get the crown prince's wife to provide this for us, then we...
No.
He Jingheng's face darkened slightly. Give orders, no one is allowed to mention this matter again. Swallow your words back to your stomach. Yes. The master said so. What else can they say? After the snow bandits, they had a rare few days of leisure. The plague improved. Although food was in short supply, the court allocated funds for disaster relief, which also avoided the tragic situation of starving thousands of miles away. Although Shang Nian did not play any role in Liangzhou City, he had no merits but also worked hard. After the plague was completely controlled, Emperor Tianshun specially held a banquet to commend the fourth prince and others. Dr. Jiang was also invited. At the banquet, the fourth prince sat in the first seat on the right side of the stage, opposite the crown prince He Lingxing. The queen, who had not attended for a long time, also arrived. She was 6 months pregnant at this time, and her belly was bulging. Her seat was next to Emperor Tianshun on his left, and on his right. In the past it was concubine Zhao, but today it was concubine Shu. Ever since the fourth prince left Beijing again to provide disaster relief in the north, Emperor Tianshun often went to Yongfu Palace, where concubine Shu lived. I don't know what the two talked about in the palace, but they resolved their knot of years, and since then concubine Shu has been favored by the emperor. Today, even concubine Zhao was outshined by her. The ministers below looked at each other, and it seemed that the fourth prince was no longer the same as before. Fourth prince. Emperor Tianshun smiled. At the beginning, I promised that as long as you returned from disaster relief, I would personally confer the title of Prince Bao on you, and today I will fulfill my promise. The fourth prince bowed deeply. Thank you, father. Emperor Tianshun waved his hand, and the palace servants filed in, holding official hats in their hands, and stood behind him. The fourth prince went to the back to change his clothes, knelt in the palace again, and Emperor Tianshun personally put the official hat on him. Seeing this scene, Heilingsheng's hands tightened unconsciously. When he was appointed as the crown prince, his father did not personally confer the title on him. He did not expect that such an honor would be taken by the fourth son first. "Thank you, father. Stand up." Emperor Tianshun was very pleased and rewarded Shangnian with many things. Shangnian had a happy look on his face. He thought that he would die in Liangzhou city this time. Unexpectedly, he not only returned safely, but also received many rewards. Naturally, he was overjoyed. Now, his colleagues in the court are used to changing their attitudes according to the situation. Previously, Emperor Tianshun had some complaints about him, so they ignored him. Now that he has received rewards, they began to flatter him non-stop. This is how the officialdom is. It is common to add icing on the cake, but it is rare to send charcoal in the snow. Prime Minister Shang is worthy of being a role model for all officials of Tianshun. Yes, I admire you very much. At this time, an official said with a smile, "Is Prime Minister Shang's eldest daughter old enough to get married?" Upon hearing this, Shangnian glanced at Heilingsheng subconsciously and then said with a smile, "That's right, but my wife and I are always reluctant to let her go and want to keep her by your side for a while longer." Prime Minister Shang, men should get married when they are old enough and women should get married when they are old enough. How long can you stay by your side? You still have to get married after all. Shangnian smiled awkwardly. Doesn't he understand this truth? Do they need to say more? Isn't the reason why she hasn't married yet because she wanted to marry the prince but failed? Emperor Tianshun saw this and smiled. "My dear Shang, I think your daughter is very good. I wonder if she has a lover? I can arrange a marriage for her." Shangnian hurriedly stood up and saluted. "Thank you, Your Majesty, for your grace. However, I haven't found a husband for her yet. What's the difficulty?" The emperor smiled and said, "I have so many good sons in Tianshun, so are you worried about not being able to pick a good one?" Shangnian didn't say anything, and the emperor continued, "Among my sons, is there one you like?" Hiss. The officials below couldn't help but gasp. Could it be that the emperor wanted to be a matchmaker for the prince? However, it seems that only the prince can match the prime minister's daughter. Shangnian hurriedly said, "How can my unpromising daughter be worthy of the prince? The prime minister is my right-hand man. How can your daughter not be worthy of him? Didn't your concubine also marry into the palace of Prince Ding?" The emperor smiled on the surface, but there was a sharp look in his smile, and his eyes turned to Heilingsheng. "Prince, you have reached the age of marriage, but there is not even a concubine in the palace. How about I marry you the prime minister's daughter?" Everyone heard this and couldn't help but cast envious eyes on Shangnian. The prince's concubine. This is the first concubine of the prince, and the emperor personally granted the marriage. Her status is extraordinary. If nothing unexpected happens, the position of the prince's main wife will be hers in the future. When the prince ascends the throne, the crown princess will be the queen in name and in reality. If the prime minister's palace produces a queen, then her status in Chaoyang will be incomparable to today. Shangnian was overjoyed. He had never expected that the emperor would grant him a marriage to the prince. He finally let go of the worry that had been hanging in his heart. When the emperor mentioned Shang Ruai, he thought the emperor was going to be angry again. Upon hearing this, Heilingsheng hurriedly stood up. Just as he was about to refuse, he saw the look in Emperor Tianshuan's eyes and was startled. His father's intention was clearly for him to accept. He cupped his hands and whispered, "Thank you, father, for granting me the marriage. I am overjoyed." Having said that, there was not a trace of joy on his face. Emperor Tianshun was extremely happy and said to the empress beside him, "Empress, what do you think of my arrangement?" The empress raised her lips. The emperor's arrangement is of course the most appropriate. She set her eyes on Heilingsheng. "I have always felt that Sheng'er is too lonely. Now that he has a concubine to accompany him, I feel relieved." She looked at Heilingshi again. "Your Majesty, the prince has a concubine. What about the fourth child? Your Majesty must not favor one over the other. What the queen said is very true. He was about to speak when he heard the concubine next to him laugh. Your Majesty should stop teasing the fourth child.
Why?
I have long wanted to find someone caring to take care of him, but every time I mentioned this, he avoided me like a snake and scorpion, and even did not go to Yongfu Palace to pay his respects for half a month. Emperor Tianshun looked at Heilingqi. Why is that? Father, I am still young and don't want to worry about the affairs of men and women. Emperor Tianshun sighed. I heard that Dr. Jiang has a daughter who is very pretty and charming. I wanted to marry her to you. Dr. Jiang was shocked when he heard this. How could that be possible? The man Anar wanted to marry was the crown prince, not some Prince Bao. He had no official position, and now he could only sit at the bottom of the officials in the hall. He clasped his hands and said, I would like to thank the emperor for his daughter's love, but I only have Anar as my daughter, so I can't bear to let her get married so early. The emperor smiled. Didn't someone just say that girls will eventually get married?
But
at this moment, Heilingqi stepped forward and said, Father, I am still young and have no plans to start a family. Forget it. Emperor Tianshun waved his hand. I just mentioned it casually today. Since you are unwilling, just pretend that I never mentioned it. Heilingqi returned to his seat and saw the prince opposite him drinking with a gloomy face. He raised the wine glass and said to Heilingsheng, Congratulations, brother, for getting the beauty. Heilingsheng drank the wine in the glass expressionlessly and said with a fake smile, Since you think it is a good thing, Father also wanted to grant you a marriage just now, why don't you want to? As soon as the voice fell, the officials who heard the conversation between the two covered their mouths and laughed. It was clear that His Royal Highness the Crown Prince was not satisfied with the legitimate daughter of Prime Minister Shang. Did you hear what the prince just said? I have seen the legitimate daughter of Prime Minister Shang. In terms of appearance, she ranks among the best in the capital. What is Your Highness the Crown Prince dissatisfied with? Have you forgotten who the Shang family's legitimate daughter's former fiancé was? After hearing this, many people suddenly realized. Shang Yufu was He Jingheng's wife, but for some unknown reason, the marriage between the two was called off, and the emperor gave the concubine's daughter to the Prince of Ding. The Prince of Ding has always been at odds with the prince. Now that Shang Yufu is being married to the prince, her life after marriage may not be easy. The ministers who were envious of Shang Nian just now had a little gloating in their eyes. Dr. Jiang sat at the end, and when he saw that the emperor no longer mentioned the marriage, he felt relieved. He looked at Heilingqi in front of him. After spending some time together, he knew that Heilingqi was a man worthy of trust. Although he was young, he acted steadily and decisively. If Anar had not insisted on marrying the prince, Heilingqi would actually be a very good choice. The palace banquet ended very late. The emperor went to Fengyi Palace with the queen, and Heilingqi went to Yongfu Palace. Mother. Heilingqi took out a bottle of pills. This is a tonic medicine that my son got when he was doing disaster relief. It is beneficial to the body. Your filial piety is accepted by mother. Shufei took the pills, looked at Heilingqi, and sighed. Now that you have been promoted to Prince Bao, mother's life will be difficult. I heard from the nutch beside my father that my father intends to promote you to a noble concubine. Shufei nodded. Your father has already told me yesterday that if it were in the past, I would not care about any title or noble concubine, but since you want to go that way, mother is willing to help you. Mother, I've had enough of being a fish on the chopping board. Shufei patted his shoulder. It was mother who misled you in the early years. If I were not so stubborn, I would not let concubine Zhao get there first. Fortunately, everything is still in time. It was late at night when he came out of Yongfu Palace. Halfway through, he saw a Nutchjong walking towards him in a hurry. Hey, Prince Bao, where have you been? I've been looking for you for a long time. Nutchjong, it's so late. What do you want to see me about? It's not me looking for you. It's the emperor. Please follow me to Fengyi Palace. Fengyi Palace is the palace where the queen lives and the palace closest to Emperor Tianquan's bedroom, while Yongfu Palace is the most remote palace in the harem. As soon as he arrived at Fengyi Palace, he heard the voice of Emperor Tianquan coming from inside. Waste. A bunch of waste. If you can't cure me, I will let you all be buried with me. The imperial doctors knelt on the ground, shaking like sieves, with beads of sweat on their foreheads that could not be wiped away. What happened in there? He Lingqi just finished speaking when he heard the emperor shouting, "Is the fourth son here? Your son greets you, father." Before he could kneel down, he heard the emperor say, "There is no need for these empty formalities. I want to ask you, do you know where the genius Dr. Lingjun who cured the plague is now?" He Lingqi immediately realized that something must have happened to the queen. Divine Dr. Lingjun travels around the world. Your son will try to contact her. At this time, He Lingsheng arrived with Divine Dr. Jiang and Jiang'aner. "Father, I heard that the Queen Mother is ill, so your son brought Divine Dr. Jiang to see her." Emperor Tianshun waved his hand, and Divine Dr. Jiang and his daughter walked in. Since they were treating the queen, who was a woman, it was inconvenient for Divine Dr. Jiang to do so, so Jiang'aner took her pulse and examined her, and then described her condition to her. The queen's pulse is weak, sometimes strong and sometimes weak, and there is a hint of poison attacking the heart. The fetus in her belly is fine for the time being, but if the queen is ill, the fetus may be. She did not continue to speak, but everyone understood what she said later. If the poisoning is more serious, the fetus in her belly will definitely not be saved. What kind of poison is the queen poisoned with? Emperor Tianshun asked in a deep voice. The poison that the queen has been poisoned with is something I have never seen before. Divine Dr. Jiang whispered, but I have a prescription that can ensure that the poison will not spread within 3 months for the queen, but after 3 months, if the poison is still not resolved, the queen may be in danger of life. 3 months. Emperor Tianshun pondered for a moment and nodded. It seems that this is the only way. He said to He Lingqi, "Within 3 months, you must find Divine Dr. Lingjun and bring her here." Yes. When they heard the 4 words Divine Dr. Lingjun, He Lingsheng and Divine Dr. Jiang were stunned. Dr. Jiang was extremely sensitive to this name. He had not yet figured out what medicinal materials were in the antidote he got from him, which showed that the man's medical skills were much better than his own. But how could he accept the sudden appearance of a young man who was so young and whose medical skills were even better than his, when he had been called a miracle doctor all his life? Thinking of this, his eyes flickered slightly. When he was preparing the medicine powder, he shook his wrist, and the amount of one of the medicinal materials was a little more than normal. Jiang'aner saw it and was about to speak, but her father winked at her, so she had to shut up. After the queen took the medicine, her complexion was much better than before, and her pulse returned to normal, as if she was asleep, but everyone understood that this was just an appearance. If the poison could not be detoxified within 3 months, their Tianshun queen would die. When concubine Zhao got the news, she was so happy that she almost jumped up from the bed. She was furious because she was not able to attend the celebration banquet today, but when she heard that the queen was poisoned and unconscious, all the resentment in her heart disappeared. God is really helping me. If the queen dies, it will have nothing to do with me, but as long as she dies, I will naturally become the new queen. Congratulations, Your Majesty, Bishi said with a smile. Your Majesty will definitely get what you wish for. The Emperor has found that genius Dr. Lingjun to detoxify the Empress. Tell those outside that no matter what method is used, he must not be allowed to enter the capital. Even if she is killed, the Empress must not be given a chance to breathe. Yes, I'll do it right away. It was 2 days later that Shang Ruoi and others learned that the Empress was poisoned. He Jingheng held the note in his hand, frowning slightly. Su Ziluo drank milk tea and smacked his lips. You, the Crown Prince's consort, are indeed extraordinary. I become craving for milk tea if I don't drink it for a few days. He Jinghen glanced at him and sneered. What are you not craving for? TSK, you really hurt my self-esteem when you say that. I've traveled all over the country. What haven't I seen? Su Ziluo said to Yuntian at the door. Go to your Crown Prince's consort shop and buy me another cup and 2 snacks. Yuntian looked at Su Ziluo. He had just eaten 3 plates of snacks and a cup of milk tea. What is this Mr. Su's stomach made of? I can still eat it. Besides, He hasn't paid for the milk tea and snacks just now. He just bought them with his own monthly salary. What are you standing there for? Why don't you go quickly? Yuntian thought of what the crown prince's consort said. Even brothers have to settle accounts clearly. He summoned up the courage to say, Mr. Su, the milk tea and snacks just now cost 4 taels of silver in total. If you order another milk tea and snacks, it will be 3 taels of silver. The total is 7 taels of silver. You just need to give me 8 taels of silver in total. Upon hearing this, Su Ziluo almost choked to death on the milk tea he had just drunk. Ahem, what did you just say? 8 taels of silver. Why is it 8 taels? Isn't it 7 taels in total? The other 1 tael is for my subordinate's hard work. Su Ziluo looked at Yuntian in shock, and after a while, he shifted his gaze to He Jingheng. You all made your fortune in Dinghua Palace this way, right? He Jingheng couldn't help but raise the corners of his lips. Su Ziluo looked at Yuntian, took out a piece of silver from his, and threw it to Yuntian. 10 taels, no need to change. Yuntian put the silver in his, rummaged for a while, took out 2 taels of silver and handed it to him. The crown prince's concubine said that ill-gotten gains cannot be taken. Ill-gotten gains? The devil's ill-gotten gains. Whose money is said to be ill-gotten gains. I never carry small change with me. He waved his hand. Consider this 2 taels of silver as a gift to you to buy books. Buy books? Su Ziluo was a little impatient. Read more books. Don't open your mouth and let people know that you are not well educated. It will only embarrass your master. He Jingheng whispered, Master Su gives it to you, just take it. It is not easy to pluck feathers from such a stingy man. He handed the note to Su Ziluo. The queen has been poisoned. Su Ziluo put away his cynical look and sat up straight. Poisoned? What happened? I don't know yet, but the poison must be very tricky. Even Dr. Jiang is helpless. Su Ziluo looked at his leg. It seems that Dr. Jiang's medical skills are not very good. He can't even cure the poison. Fortunately, he didn't treat your leg. He Jingheng knew a little about Dr. Jiang's ability. Being called a miracle doctor by the 4 countries, it can be said that his medical skills are extremely high. Now, even he is helpless, so this poison must be extraordinary. Have you found the person who poisoned the patient? He Jingheng shook his head. No. TSK, in my opinion, the guards in this palace are just useless. They can't even find the thief who poisoned the patient. He looked at the note again. Divine Dr. Lingjun, most of the world's divine doctors travel around the world, and their whereabouts are unknown. Where can we find him in such a vast sea of people? Yuntian, who had just returned from shopping, paused after hearing this. Divine Dr. Lingjun? Isn't she their crown prince's consort? However, your Prince Ding's palace will not stand idly by while the queen is poisoned. Su Ziluo looked at his face and whispered, The queen was kind to your palace in the past. Upon hearing this, He Jingheng tightened the note in his hand and said nothing. In the evening, he returned to the mansion and sat beside the bed with a serious expression. Just as Su Ziluo said, the queen has done favors for the Dinghua Palace. Now that she is poisoned, they have to save her. However, if they want to save her, Shang Ruai must go to the palace in person. This poses a huge risk of exposure to her. If people knew that she was the miracle Dr. Lingjun, everything they were doing now might be discovered. If this were the case, the century-old foundation of the Dinghua Palace might really be ruined. At this moment, Shang Ruai's voice was heard. What are you thinking about? You are so absent-minded. He Jingheng looked at her, and the words came to his lips, but he couldn't say them no matter what. It was the first time that Shang Ruai saw him like this. What's the matter? He sighed and handed the note to her. The queen is poisoned? She didn't have any impression of this queen. After all, she was a concubine's daughter and had no contact with people in the harem. But looking at He Jingheng's appearance, he seemed to want to save people. You want to save her? He Jingheng nodded. The queen once saved my father, and she is also the benefactor of our Dinghua Palace. Now her life is in danger, and we can't just stand by and watch her die. At this moment, a tiger's roar suddenly came from the woods in the east. Shang Ruai's eyebrows moved, and she was overjoyed. She put on her cloak and ran straight to the woods in the east. He Jingheng originally wanted to follow, but thinking that there were so many people in the mansion and it would be hard to see why, he had no choice but to sit in the wheelchair and let Yunqi push him out. Shang Ruai came to the dense forest and saw Xiaobai standing on a stone. The moonlight enveloped its fur, creating a silver halo. Xiaobai. As soon as she finished speaking, Xiaobai stood up, wagged his tail at her, his eyes full of human longing, and suddenly jumped to her side. Shang Ruai touched his head and looked it over. Not finding any wounds, she slowly felt relieved. At this moment, Xiaobai let out a low growl, and the next moment, Shang Ruai felt the breath of a ferocious beast coming towards her. She turned around and saw a dozen large figures slowly walking towards her. Tiger. A dozen tigers. Shang Ruai looked at Xiaobai. Did you bring all this back? Xiaobai nodded his head with an expression that seemed to be asking for praise. Shang Ruai held its face with both hands and rubbed it for a long time. You are so awesome. Xiaobai roared at the tigers, and they lay obediently on the ground, motionless, looking at Shang Ruai expectantly. This human smells so good. They couldn't help but want to get closer, but the boss had just warned them not to approach this human. Shang Ruai walked up to them and took out a basin full of spiritual spring water. The moment the spiritual spring water appeared,